Maybe that was God saying, hey, Von Miller's going to sign tonight.
It was violent last night.
It was very violent. My dog was a champ about it, though. I was very proud of him.
Good for him.
So I woke up to this news of Von Miller, but I did not see, because, Twitter is this weird algorithm now. It always, when I open up Twitter, it's my For You page, not my following page.
Ugh.
So the For You page circulated Von Miller posting the graphic of himself, and I was like, hold on, pause. Rewind. I need to make sure that this situation is straight here.
Hold on my calls.
Because you've seen this in the past, particularly this time last year, when a certain wide receiver who is very good friends with the quarterback here because they played their college ball at Arizona State together, it felt like he was posting and liking graphics of himself. Speaking of Brandon Ayuk, it felt like he was posting and liking graphics of himself in everyone else's jersey but the 49ers. So I had to make sure that what Von Miller was doing was not a troll. I had to make sure that what Von Miller was doing was not like a bunch of teenagers being teenagers and hacking into a Twitter account and saying, well, we're going to put him in a Commander's jersey. I did my due diligence, found out that this is true, that it was Von Miller signing. This is a deal that I really, really enjoy for the Commanders. In fact, I went so far as to say on our poll question that I love it. Is this a lifetime fix, or at least a multi-year fix at a position of need? No, it is not that. You signed a 36-year-old guy to a one-year contract. This is more likely than not going to be Von Miller's last season in the NFL. So it is not an all-time fix, so to speak, but you get a guy that at the very least has the ability to cause a little bit of havoc. You get a guy that has the ability to take some of the younger players under the wing a little bit and say, hey, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, you got a little something going on. Allow me, someone who played the position that you are playing at the highest of levels. Because there was very much a point in time where Von Miller was not just the best defensive player in the NFL. You could make an argument, pound for pound, the best football player in the NFL. I mean, the man literally carried Peyton Manning to a Super Bowl. With Peyton Manning had a broken freaking neck. So adding that to this roster, in and of itself, I think is a huge benefit. You also address a position that they have not done a great job addressing. One of my biggest issues with what they have been doing this offseason is that they have not had a long-term fix at defensive end. Dietrich Wise might be somebody, we don't really know. The contract they signed him to was a one-year deal, which leads me to believe that they don't really know, because if they did know, they would have signed him to a longer-term deal, similar to what they did with Frankie Louvu last year, who, by the way, all-pro. Similar to what they did with Dorrance Armstrong, which was not an all-pro, but they believed in him for 3 years. They signed Javon Kinlaw to a multi-year deal. If they're only signing Dietrich Wise to a one-year deal, you are clearly skeptical. So Von Miller is not fixing the long-term problem, but you at least add someone that is going to help the defensive line out. You look at his numbers over the past few years, and it's not a lot to be overly impressed with. 6 sacks combined in the last 2 years. In 2023, he had 0 sacks. He was battling some injuries, only played 12 games, but only playing 12 games and having 0 sacks to show for it is not a good number. That is not good. But in 2024, when he was much more healthy, he had 6 sacks. So I'm hoping if you get a healthy Von Miller, you get somewhere around that number. And I think that's what's important to take into consideration here. What is successful for Von Miller is not going to be what would have been successful if the team made a move for Trey Hendrickson. If you make a move for Trey Hendrickson, you give up draft capital, you then turn around and sign him to a multi-year extension in the neighborhood of $30 million when you already have someone on this roster that wants $30 million per year, allegedly, if you believe Ian Rappaport. But if you make that move for Trey Hendrickson, you are expecting 17.5 sacks again. With Von Miller, you're not expecting that. My expectation for Von Miller is very, very simple. I want 4 good games. If you can give me 4 good games, like 4 really, really good games, then a one-year deal for a 36-year-old is a great move. Considering that Washington last year played 19 games, you're kind of hoping that maybe this year they played 20 games or 19 if things go really well and they get the bye, but, baby steps. You're hoping they played 20 games, If Von Miller has a really good game once every 5 outings, I will take that at 36 years old. I'm not asking him to come in here and have double-digit sacks, although that would be nice. He's going to be more of what I feel like is a spot rusher, very similar to what Ryan Kerrigan was in Ryan Kerrigan's final year here. If you go back to 2020, that's when Chase Young was playing his best here in D.C. Montez Sweat was playing really well in D.C. You had that defensive line that we thought was going to carry this franchise for years and years to come. Oh, what a time that was, at least mentally. But if Von Miller can do something similar to what Ryan Kerrigan did that year, I would call this a success. The days of him getting 13 and a half sacks are completely done with, but he can still be a very good spot rusher. So I like this, Max. I was very thrilled that they signed Von Miller. Von Miller moves the needle for me a lot more than some of the other guys that were on the open market, with all due respect to the mighty Preston Smith, who spent a good chunk of time here to open his career. If it was between 36-year-old Von Miller or what is Preston Smith? I think he's like 31.
I wanted to say 34, 35, but I'm not 100% sure anymore.
Honestly, if it's 36-year-old Von Miller or 30-year-old Preston Smith, I'm going to take 36-year-old Von Miller.
Preston Smith's 32. You were right.
32-year-old Preston Smith, I'm going to take Von Miller because Preston Smith just doesn't have the juice like that. What did you think of this? Were you as thrilled as I was to wake up and see this rendering?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it last night as I was like getting ready to go to bed, and then my Twitter timeline blew up and was like, "Hey, Von Miller." So I don't fall into the love it category for obvious reasons. I mean, he's a 36-year-old and it's a 1-year deal, but I do fall into the like it category. I think he has a lot to offer. I think 4 games, like you said, if you get 6 sacks for a 36-year-old on
if you get
on like
6
a vet
sacks
minimum
from
deal,
Von Miller at the age of 36. That is a great deal.
That is a win for me. So yeah, I'm very excited for this year. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what Joe Witt decides to do with Frank Louvu and Von Miller, because that might be hell for
There's a
certain tackles.
level of creativity that you now have at your display.
Mm-hmm.
If you are Joe Witt Jr. You had it at times last year with Dante Fowler Jr. because Fowler went on that run in the middle portion of the season where he became a machine, a sack machine for all intents and purposes. You just ran into the issue at the end of the year where you realized as great as he is at getting after the passer, he is inadvertently terrible at stopping the run.
Exactly.
The hope is that Von Miller will at least be good at both of those things. Now, he's never been specifically known as a great run defender. He is a pass rusher first. And again, that's why he was one of the best players in the NFL. That year where Denver won the Super Bowl, he didn't just lead them over the Carolina Panthers that year, who had this crazy dynamic offense. Who was their head coach again? Not important. He didn't even know they were in the Super Bowl. He didn't know.
We could be eliminated.
He could be eliminated in the Super Bowl. I thought I had one more game. But he took that defense and took down the MVP, but he'd also taken down Tom Brady the 2 weeks before in the AFC playoffs. He had taken down Andrew Luck in the AFC playoffs. Peyton Manning wasn't doing anything. The guy couldn't throw the ball more than 15 yards. It was the Von Miller-led defense that was lifting them up. I know he's not that anymore, but I feel like it's never a bad thing to me when you are trying to build a culture of winning and trying to build a championship culture to have guys that have legitimate experience at the championship level. And you want to make fun of all the old dudes.
Damn good.
Culture, right? We love it.
The culture is actually damn good.
Damn good.
Damn good. Still waiting for that. But if you want to make this culture a championship level, you surround the roster and the young guys with a bunch of guys that have done it at a championship level. So you want to make fun. I've seen the memes. We saw the memes last year of Jerry Rice, Dan Marino, that Madden commercial where they're dapping each other up and they're saying this is what Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner and all these dudes are. You can make that same argument in 2025, just adding Von Miller to the party. However, that culture influencing on the young guys like your Javonte Jean-Baptiste, like your Ben Sinnott, who you're hoping are going to be here for a long time, like a Frankie Louvu, or in the instance of Bobby Wagner, if you want to get really young, like a Jordan McGee, who they feel really, really good about, then you're cooking with gas.
Yeah. People like to crap all over this, signing older veteran, the unction, as some call it, as me and Brian have affectionately referred to it as. But once you reach a certain point in your career where you can't, do the things that you were used to do, you move on to the next part of your career, which is passing that on to the next generation.
Which is being the old dude.
Exactly.
Is being the old dude, being the veteran. And if you are lucky, you get a situation like you have with Zach Ertz, who loves every bit of his time here in DC. You have a situation like Bobby Wagner, who loves every bit of his time here in DC, to the point where when these two guys retire, Bobby Wagner, at least certainly, because he's for sure going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know that Zach Ertz will be a Hall of Famer, but he will consider himself both an Eagle and a Commander. Bobby Wagner will consider himself both a Seahawk and maybe a Ram, but a Commander. If Von Miller has one good year here, just one at 37, that might be time to tap out a little bit. But if Von Miller has just one good year, he'll be a Bronco, Ram, Bill, and Commander. It won't just be a footnote, because it's felt like for the longest time when you sign some of the older guys, or at least in previous regimes, they would end up just being like the time in Washington was a footnote. And they kind of wanted to, maybe I'm not going to put this. I don't like it when people scroll that deep in my Pro Football Reference page. So I'm optimistic. I feel really good about the Von Miller signing. Again, if I get 4 good games from him, that is a win at 36 years old. There is one problem I have with this, and this was a problem that I noticed immediately.
Let's hear it.
I saw the rendering that Von Miller put up, which I assume was AI. Either that or his graphics team is on it.
I think I know where you're going with this.
24 for a pass rusher sucks.
Not great.
That's a tough number on the eyeballs for a pass rusher. You want to be 24 as a running back? Sick. You want to be 24 as a defensive back? Sick. End of list. That is where the buck stops and starts in terms of where that number looks good. 24 as a pass rusher? Yuck. It just does not. Even I was going back and forth with a few of our listeners and fans on Twitter, fans of the team, that is. Even he used to wear 40 in Los Angeles and Buffalo. 40 is still a little bit of a tough sell. 40 is a weird number in pro football. I don't know that 40 looks good anywhere necessarily. That might be one of the ugliest numbers, but he wore 40. In Denver, he wore 58. Tyler Owens wears 40 here. Jordan McGee wears 58 here. I don't know that Von Miller is so sold on those numbers. I mean, he tweeted out himself in 24. I would assume that is him planting his flag and saying, I'm going to take number 24. If you have an Antonio Gibson jersey, congratulations. You can repurpose that if you know how to sew or are just really good with duct tape. But 24 looks ugly on a pass rusher.
I'm going through the Pro Football Reference page because when you mentioned 40 being a weird number, I'm like, who is the most famous 40? And
Probably Pat Tillman.
That's probably.
Did Tillman wear 40 or did he wear 41? I think he wore 40. But he's more famous just because of some of the after.
Well, yeah, it wasn't the football stuff that Pat Tillman was famous
just because of some of the stuff that he stood for. But I don't know, I can't think of a player that wore number 40 and I was like, this is great. This looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very weird.
It's a very, very odd number.
Yeah.
It's a very odd number. So he's going to wear 24 at least now. I'm excited to see Von Miller. I also let me just double check. I'm pretty sure he put up a rendering of himself in burgundy and gold, which
I think was it the white jersey or was it because I noticed he posted the white jersey, the white throwback, but he still had the old helmet without the extra lines up top.
Yeah, so he had he posted burgundy and gold. He also put the Captain C on the chest, bump the brakes a little bit there. But he posted the picture in legitimate burgundy and gold. So for that, Von Miller is already off on the right foot here. He knows how much we love the burgundy, not the cherry red, not the cranberry red, whatever the hell they called it. It's not burgundy, but he posted himself in the real burgundy and gold. I want to hear from you. 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. How do you feel about the Von Miller signing, and what are your realistic expectations for him at 36 years old? My expectations, I want 4 good games from the 36-year-old pass rushing specialist. I want your thoughts at 301-230-0980. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980.
I have an answer for you, by the way. Most famous 40.
I got that answer. Doc Walker sent me a text message during the break, and he said, "Listen, youngster, Gale Sayers wore number 40." And
that's right.
Like, duh. How could I forget the legendary Gale Sayers? It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Dente sitting in for Kevin. Anthony Armstrong going to be with us in about 10 minutes here. Jay Gruden will join us in a little over an hour to talk a little bit about the Terry McLaurin extension or lack thereof. But our conversation right now is surrounding Von Miller. What are expectations for Von Miller? He just signed with the Commanders last night. He posted a picture of himself in the burgundy and gold wearing number 24. I don't love the number 24, but if Von Miller ends up being a badass in Washington, he can wear whatever number that he would like. So we're taking some of your phone calls now with 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. How do you feel about the Von Miller signing? Not a long-term answer at defensive end, but at the very least, you now have a pass rushing specialist. Let's go to Eric in Norfolk. Eric, what's going on?
Yeah, what's up, Denton? How y'all doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Hope you are.
Yeah, I'm doing good. So, yeah, I logged on to Twitter last night trying to see if there was any kind of signing news, and I saw that there was a signing. It just wasn't the one I was logging in to look for. But I'm with you. Like, at first when I thought, I was like, that's interesting. I think all along, Zadarius Smith was kind of the one I was hoping might kind of land. But, Von Miller's good as far as Oh, hold up. Sorry. My stream was a little delayed. But no, I think Von Miller's veteran presence is going to be great for the locker room. Kind of what you said, give us 4 games. Also, maybe give us 4 clutch games. Make it like, I don't want that to be a good game against the Giants or something. Like, give us like a really good game against, a solid opponent. But, give us 4 games, 2 of those against the Eagles, right? So that's kind of where I'm at.
4 good games with all of them being backloaded.
Right. Exactly. Having Wagner, everyone having just a great game. I think it's fine. I wouldn't say that I'm kind of somewhere between I like it and maybe a little indifferent. I just don't think he didn't start any games for Buffalo last year, so we can't expect him to do but so much.
Right. Eric, appreciate the call. Great call as always. That is important to mention. He did play a majority of the season. I think he played 16 games for Buffalo in 2025. He did not start any of those games. He was very much a pass rushing specialist, which is fine. That's what he's going to be here. He is not your 80% of snaps player. He's going to play probably in the neighborhood of 25 to maybe 40% of snaps. Again, very similar to what Ryan Kerrigan did his final year in DC. It'll be something like that. And then you hope that in those snaps, he takes advantage of the reps and of those opportunities and gets after the quarterback. So he played 13 games in Buffalo in 2024, and he had 6 sacks in 13 games. He had 8 sacks in 2022, where he was the starter in Buffalo for 11 of those games. 2023, he had nothing. He played 12 games, but he had no sacks. So you don't want what he did in 2023, but I will be very, very happy if he goes. I want to play more than 13 games, but if he goes 17 games and has 6.5 or 7 sacks, even if it's 5.5 sacks, but those sacks are clutch, those sacks are really nicely timed based off of where their schedule lies out, and hopefully those sacks come in like December, January, February. Anybody? Can I knock on wood there? As long as those sacks end up being clutch sacks, I would be very much into that. You can vote on our poll question at the Team 980. How do you feel about the Von Miller signing? Love it, like it, don't like it, hate it. You can join our conversation on the phones at 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Let's go to my guy Ross in Tampa. Ross, what's going on?
Hey, D-Day, if I had your number, man, I'd have texted you another name, so I Instagram DM'd you the name instead. You can't forget about Mike Allstott. That's the only position where you can wear 40 and it looks good when you got your hand in the dirt running the ball. Maybe a tight end, but I don't know. So, yeah, basically what I told Max, man, I was just saying, like, with Von Miller, just with his age, his mileage, the position, and all the wear and tear that it was going to bring over the years, I want to see him sprinkled out throughout the season. I just don't really feel comfortable watching him play every single down. I was saying how I want to see Jordan McGee looking up to Bobby Wagner. I want that for the younger defensive ends too. So when they kind of see what the veterans got going on the field and when their name's called, they learn from some future Hall of Famers. They go out there, they do their thing. But yeah, for a 37-year-old D-Day, I just don't want to see him out there every single play because, you know, the more likely the injury is going to happen. And then it's going to be like, Ryan Fitzpatrick all over again type of stuff.
Yeah, keep him away from water slides. Allegedly. Allegedly. That's not confirmed. Allegedly.
Oh, man. Hey.
Ross,
ahead,
I
buddy.
appreciate it as always, my friend.
Yes,
I appreciate
man.
it.
Good hearing from you, buddy.
We are on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube at the Team 980. A great point made in the chat. I don't know how often Kevin references the chat, but I'm going to reference the chat because I have it pulled up. Marcus brings up a really, really great point. Von Miller could make a huge impact on guys like Josh Connerly Jr. in teaching him some of the moves that great defensive players are going to use throughout the course of the season. So when you're going up against great defensive linemen, how can you prepare? Well, having the ability to pick Von Miller's brain on the other side and constantly working against him in practice could be heavily beneficial for a rookie. So, Marcus, that is a hell of a point. I love that point. I'm trying to find the amount of snaps that Von Miller actually played in 2024. Football Reference doesn't have it, so I'm going to have to go to Pro Football Focus and pull that up. I just want to see what that actual number is and try and get an idea of what the number that he will play here is. It's not going to be a majority. If he even gets close to 50%, I would say something is maybe going really, really right in that Von Miller is just absolutely dominating the opposition, but I can't imagine he's going to play 50% of the snaps. Let's go to Ricardo in Northeast. Ricardo, what's going on?
Yes. Grand Rising. Good morning. I think it's a good signing. There's a specialized pass rusher. How many sacks did he get last year?
He had 6 last year.
Six. Okay. If he gets at least that many, he may get more as a specialized pass rusher. Now, as far as these numbers with 24 and 40 for the linebacker, I don't particularly like, but if he, gets the sacks, that's fine. But you were saying the most famous number 40, and this is showing you guys' age, the younger generation. Ever heard of Gale Sayers?
Doc texted me as soon as I said that and went to break, and I was like, how did I forget Gale Sayers? Like,
Yes,
I'm such a youthful moron I am. I know.
Yeah, but there's not really a whole bunch of 40s I can think of that were great off the bat, but Gale Sayers immediately came to mind, and Doc, yeah, that's my man. He knows me even caught up. But anyway, good subject, and I think it's a good sign. A specialized pass rusher. I don't think he's going to play a lot of snaps. We use him as a specialized pass rusher. I think that would be ideal. But thanks, man. Good show.
Yeah, Ricardo, appreciate it. So Von Miller played 332 snaps at defensive line. Also played 2 snaps on punt return. I would not like to see Von Miller playing punt return this year, but 332 snaps. And I'm looking across his game log. So there was a bunch of regular season games that he missed, but he did play in all of Buffalo's playoff games. In the 13 games that he played in 2025, only one game, that came in week 16, did he play more than 30 snaps. So just to give you an idea, that's how he was used in Buffalo last year. I can't imagine that Washington is going to deviate too heavily from that, at least in terms of those snap counts. So I would imagine somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 snaps as your pass rushing specialist, and then really utilizing him to help bring up guys like Javonte Jean-Baptiste, or work with some of the young offensive linemen, Josh Connerly Jr., Brandon Coleman, maybe some of the other guys that they signed this offseason, like a Dietrich Wise. Wise has been in the NFL for a number of years, but getting to have the ability to pick the brain of a guy that's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer is a very nice luxury to have. We'll continue taking some of your calls here. Let's go to Samaj in Bmore, the Violator. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Denton D? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Hope you are too.
It's all good, man. You and Max, thanks for taking my call as always. Hey, I don't see nothing but this is just win-win. I look at Vaughn at this point in his career. He still has something left in the tank, but we all know it's probably less than half full. So, yeah, sprinkle him out. use him at what he does best, third down, sack master specialist time, get him in there. And I just look at him as quality depth. He should be an excellent backup to Frankie. I'm sure the coaching staff will probably do some things with him and Frankie playing together. And guess who's coming and where they're coming from with the OC side and the quarterbacks, the opposition quarterback. So I just look at it as quality depth. Great move by AP. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep everybody safe. Let's get to training camp, and let's get back to where we were last year and kick in the damn door. It's the Be More Violator out. Thanks for taking my call.
Samaj, appreciate it. As always, I am very much in favor of kicking down the damn door, especially on the defensive front. Our guy Gregory in the chat says they should have gone after Cam Jordan instead of signing a 36-year-old. I mean, Cam Jordan is not that much younger than Von Miller. So I will take Von Miller knowing that he is a surefire Hall of Famer that'll be able to impart a little bit of wisdom on some of the younger guys. Mark is in Largo. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Denton Day? How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Hope you are.
Hear you, but this is a good move. This is a great move, and I think actually, I don't think they're going to stop here. It would not shock me if they get another guy next month. It could be Jadeveon Clowney, could be Zadarius Smith. It would not shock me because I think what they have done is they've done everything. What people don't realize, they've done everything they could on the defensive side of the ball as far as stopping the run, getting Kinlaw, getting Goldman, plugging up the middle, and then they're going to switch Kinlaw on the outside when they have to on some downs as well, too. I think that's going to help them out. That's why I was telling you your screen call, the most important thing now, and this was a good sign I heard with Trey Amos being in the building, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Hopefully we can get him done today, get his behind in there tomorrow. We need Trey in there. We need Trey because unlike Terry can come in 3 weeks, or he can come in this time next month. Everything will be right with the world. And that'll be fine for Terry McLaurin. He'll be okay. As long as we get Terry in before Labor Day, we'll be fine.
Right.
But Trey's got to be in there tomorrow. Trey's got to be in there, and this defense could do something. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Brian Robinson, if Merritt shows something in camp, I've been beating this drum all summer. I think Brian could either be cut or traded because, look, he's not even average. And I've been doing this rant on Chris's show, doing it on this show. Brian Robinson right now, you the next man up, man.
In order for that to happen, Mark, I appreciate it. We got Anthony Armstrong coming up here, so I'm going to have to let you go. In order for that to happen, Ja'Cory Crooksy-Merritt would have to show a whole lot of something. Brian Robinson is actually in a nice spot because Austin Eckler is not an every down back, and I don't know that it would make a ton of sense to cut a guy that you just can let walk in free agency next year anyway, in favor of a guy that you haven't actually seen play. So you got to see Ja'Cory Crooksy-Merritt play before you can put all of the eggs in the basket. But I do think that there is a real potential that Crooksy-Merritt ends up being a really good player. He didn't play in 2024 because the NCAA was on the NCAA, right? They're just kind of head in the sand, suspending guys for no real reason. B-Rob's job, as far as I'm concerned, is safe right now. And they told us that by waiting until the 7th round to pick a running back. I want him to be better, and I want statistically his production to be better, but I think his job is very safe as we sit here at the moment. Coming up next, Anthony Armstrong, former wide receiver for the Redskins, played multiple years here, host the Believe in Commanders podcast. We'll get his thoughts on their offseason and what is going on with that Terry McLaurin contract extension. It's a Kevin Sheehan show with Dent Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980.
All right, let me be the first to issue a very special welcome to Washington to Von Miller. He announced last night via his Instagram in a caption, DC, what's good? The 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, and 2-time Super Bowl champion has signed a 1-year deal in Washington to chase another Super Bowl ring, and Washington gets a much-needed pass rusher. Also, meanwhile, the Wiz, they fall to the Utah Jazz in the Summer League 86-76. The Wiz kids, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, Will Riley, and Trey Johnson all did not play due to coach's decision. A.J. Johnson led the team in points for the second game in a row. He had 25. Also, over the weekend, MLB All-Star Ketel Marte, his home was robbed during the All-Star break. This likely in connection with a slew of athletes having their homes robbed while traveling for games, including Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Items that were stolen include a litany of personal items as well as jewelry. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live from 10 to 1 and Craig Hoffman from 4 to 7. Don't forget to like the streams and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
Is the Kevin Sheehan Show on the Team 980. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on a Thursday. You can find me on Twitter at the Denton Day. Big topic of conversation. It's the subject of our poll question. How do you feel about the Commanders signing Von Miller? You can go vote at the Team 980. We will continue taking your calls on that topic shortly. But now we head to the phones. Welcome on a former Redskin, my guy Anthony Armstrong. You can find him on Twitter at Rated Armstrong. Anthony, appreciate you joining me, my friend. Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts on the team signing Von Miller?
Double D, what's going on, man? I think the signing is strategic. I'm thinking late season, you need a big third down stop, you get Von Miller on the field. And who else would you rather have getting after the passer? Especially, look at the way our schedule is laid out. You got Philly twice late in the season. You got Dallas, and you're going to have New York. It's necessary to have somebody that's going to be able to get after the passer, especially since they didn't fill that role earlier in the season or in the offseason and through the draft.
I'm excited. I said in the opening of our show, Anthony, that I want 4 really good games. If I can get 4 games where, like you mentioned, he has that clutch sack, it's late in the season, he makes a big play, then a 1-year deal for a 36-year-old is perfect to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know what he's brought there for. You're not asking him to start and just hold it down for 3 downs straight. No, he's coming in for a specific purpose. And, if he's still at the top of his game like he has been, and he showed up big for Buffalo, so why not put him on your side and get him in the burgundy and gold?
So, Anthony, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, not just because I want to hear your thoughts on the entire offseason for Washington, but the Terry McLaurin contract extension thing has been obviously a massive story this week because he had some media availability. I'm curious from your perspective as a guy that played the position, how are you viewing this back and forth between Terry and the team right now?
I feel like right now it is a natural dead period where, scouts and personnel and coaches are generally on vacation before they get into training camp. So maybe they're waiting to have everybody in the building before they make this last push. But it's kind of tough because on one side he is under contract and there are a lot of ways that the team can handle it. But it feels like how everything else has happened off the field from, just hiding the jerseys and Art Monk and them doing so many things right. To have this be a potential distraction leading to training camp just doesn't seem right. So I feel like something's going to happen, but we just have to be patient. So my fingers are crossed. If they're not calling me to come out there and play, I'm not doing it. So I need Terry. I need 17 in training camp.
What do you think is a good number for him? The rumor is $30 million. I thought it would be closer to $32 million. Are you in that ballpark?
I mean, yeah, I'm good with 30. And the thing is, he's shown that, he's a loyal guy. And that's why I think you have to make this thing happen. He's not trying to go in here and fight for, 35 and something that's really going to put a strain on your books. And he wants to get paid like he's been performing, and everybody else has been getting re-upped, and he's done more for his team than those other guys have done for theirs. So it makes sense to reward this guy. And if you're going to do it for anybody, you got to do it for Terry McLaurin.
How do you think Cliff Kingsbury is going to use Deebo Samuel this season?
As many ways as he can. Like, the Swiss Army knives, it's got the scissors, and then it's got the little nail file, and as many ways as he can. And the beautiful thing is that Deebo's good at all of them. And he's even thrown the ball a couple times too. So whatever is successful, expect that to happen. I think that Deebo brings just a couple of nuances that are going to make Terry McLaurin that much more effective as a receiver. So I think when you're talking about money, Deebo comes into that play as well, because he's going to be able to take those short routes and those slants and take some of those things to the house. He has it on his tape, his highlight reel. So I know it's still in his game. So shoot, how are you going to use him? Get him the ball as many ways as possible, get him the ball in space, and then sit back and let magic happen.
Anthony Armstrong with us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin. You can find him on Twitter @RatedArmstrong, and you can listen to his podcast, the Believe in Commanders podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. What is your confidence level in Brian Robinson as we enter 2025?
I'm coming in high. Confidence is going to be really high just because, hey, it's the new season, and I want him to just play free. That's my message to him, is just play free and be physical. Once he gets in his mind about the ball and ball security, that's where things get downhill. So Dan Quinn's the perfect coach, I think, to help with the mental side of things. But if Brian Robinson can just go in there and play physical and understand his role in that running back room, you don't got to do everything. Yes, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but you're going to have, Krosky Merritt get to take some of those reps. Eckler's still going to have some of those reps. We need a physical presence from 8. And that's where I'm looking for Brian Robinson to come and have a strong season.
Did you think last year were some of at least the statistical shortcomings were more on B-Rob? Was it scheme, offensive line? Like, if you had to assess what the issue was, what was it from your vantage point?
Man, look, I'm going to go away from that and talk about the physicality at the receiver other than Terry McLaurin. Because when Noah Brown was in there, teams couldn't go one-on-one because they had to, or they could bring a safety into the mix. With Noah there, they were able to activate that wide receiver too. He was able to block safety from going too high. Whenever you don't have a physical presence on that other spot, they are able to load the box and then force you to pass to a one-on-one situation with a receiver who may not be winning on that backside. So this is why having Deebo Samuel helps. He can block safety. He can do some of the physical run game and allow Terry to be one-on-one. You can still get some big plays. Then you're also going to loosen up the box as well, because those safeties are going to have to back up from what Deebo can do in the play-action game. Getting behind the safeties and the linebackers that get sucked up, they drop it over the top. You give up big plays that way. So when you get too high, it's going to be a favorable box for Brian. You're going to be able to run physical and get behind this pad.
What are your expectations for Jaden in year number 2?
Man, honestly, I expect him to perform as he did last year, if not a little bit better. He's going to have more weapons around him. The O-line is going to be upgraded. And I expect to see some more big plays. I think that with Laramie Tunsil getting added in there, retooled O-line is going to allow the ball to get downfield a little bit more. Maybe not on the field for 12 to 14 plays, but a good 8 to 10 plays would be good, and a few shots here or there would be nice. So I still expect him to play at a high level, still be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and show why he's just the top talent in this league.
Do you think he might be in consideration for MVP if things go the same way they did or a little bit better last year?
Oh, absolutely. I think he would have been in consideration last year. When you think of the scheme, help this team make that leap. So last year I would have gave him a vote. But if he does what he did last year, absolutely. Absolutely. This guy is special. And when teams are focused on him, they know who he is, what he can do, and he still shines, you got to put him in that race.
Anthony Armstrong with us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. What are your thoughts on the actual burgundy and gold uniforms coming back, albeit for 3 games?
Man, those are fresh. I like them, especially getting away from the little cranberry ones that they got. Those always look like the Cardinals jersey. But now you got something that You're getting a hat tip to the top years of the organization, the Super Bowl era. You get that burgundy and gold stripe going down on the side. And plus, you're going to get to bring the alumni, get some of those alums back in the building. I like those jerseys. I want to see a 13 in there. I definitely want to see a 17. The preview had Jeremy Reeves, it had Jaden, it had Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, but it didn't have Terry McLaurin. So I need to have it redone with Terry McLaurin.
Something tells me, just a gut feeling, Anthony, as soon as that contract is done, that Terry is going to be in the photo room with that jersey on, and they're going to be pumping that out on social.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to come running out full speed like the Ultimate Warrior used to do. Just ready to go, man. Like, I'm hyped for it myself, so I'm looking forward for that news to come across my phone.
I'll tell you what, as a wrestling fan, if Terry McLaurin comes running out with like a spear, similar to the way the Ultimate Warrior did in those jerseys, I will be perfectly satisfied.
Yes, absolutely. That'd be a way to start the season for real.
So when you look at what this year is going to be in terms of a schedule, obviously the team was fantastic last year. 11 wins, gets to the NFC Championship. Schedule a little bit more difficult this year. Do you still think that 10 wins, 11 wins is in the cards for this roster and this team?
You still got to set that bar at that same level. I don't think they took a step back this offseason. I think they found a way to get better. And when you're making these improvements and even adding in Von Miller, you got to think you're going to be able to get a win or two from those additions. Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil, those guys are huge additions. They're not just spot players that are going to fit in here or there. They're upgrades from what they had last year. So, yeah, absolutely. Give me those 10, 11 wins and fight to maybe lead this division.
A couple more here for Anthony Armstrong, who joined us on the Kevin Sheehan show with Denton Day sitting in. What is some of the benefits from your perspective of keeping all of the offensive coaches around for another season?
Man, continuity, the same voice, the same verbiage. You don't have to have somebody coming in trying to learn on the go. The familiarity is big. I mean, you look at what's going on there in Detroit. They lost both coordinators and plenty of other coaches. So there's a lot of questions as to how they're going to, turn things over. But when you have, young quarterback and a roster and a nucleus that's so tight, the whole thing about this organization is everybody's together. Like, they're in this thing together, and it makes sense to keep as many coaches together as possible. So I love it. It pushes me to think they're going to have a positive season.
Which rookie are you the most excited about seeing in 2025?
Man, this has been my guy, Kay Madrano. That's the guy I feel is going to be this, joker of a sort. He's going to just be on the stat list, doing all types of things. A couple of interceptions here or there. He might get a sack or two. He's going to free up Frankie Louvu as well. But Kay Madrano, I think he's going to have an impact on special teams. He's an interesting player with his skill set, the speed, being able to play in the box and get active, spying quarterbacks. So Kay Madrano will put a circle around him.
Do you think that's someone we could see? Because most people, when I ask that question, they'll talk to Amos, they'll talk to Connerly, maybe some will say Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech. Do you think that Kay Madrano could end up playing some defensive snaps late in the season if he really performs well on special teams?
I think he's going to find his way on the field earlier than that, just based off of his skill set, right? Like, you're looking at, okay, we're trying to find a pass rusher. Sure, you've added Von Miller. Frankie Louvu's been your best, pass rusher, but it kind of still leaves you thin at linebacker. You got Bobby, then you got McGee. You got to see what he's going to develop into. I think he's going to do a damn good job. But Madrano, with him being older, he's played a lot of football. It translates to him being able to get on the field quicker. So I think there's some packages where you can see him on the field, and it allows you to have some flexibility in the back end with Quan Martin and those other safeties and how they're going to get unrolled into this field. So yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to play sooner than you think, and their role can kind of increase as the season goes along.
So Anthony, I'll get you out of here on this. Does Terry McLaurin sign an extension before training camp begins?
Yes. I need it to be. I don't want any distraction sliding into training camp. It needs to be all positive vibes. So absolutely, yes, he does.
I certainly hope that is the case. Anthony, appreciate it as always, my friend. This was fun.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you. That
is Anthony Armstrong. You can find him on Twitter at Rated Armstrong, and you can listen to him with a mighty Scott Jackson on the Believe Podcast Network. They host the Believe in Commanders podcast. So some really good stuff there. I like that he mentioned Kay Madrano because No one seems to mention him when you talk about favorite rookies. I am one of the reasons for that. I love Trey Amos. I'm excited to see what Trey Amos is going to bring to this
sign him
defense.
first.
You do got to sign him. Now, the nice thing is, if he is not signed by tomorrow, he at the very least is there.
Yes.
So he is taking more of a hold-in approach, not a hold-out approach. That's one of the things as it relates to the other contract that we are waiting to have signed here with Terry McLaurin. I would like, even if Terry does not sign the deal prior to training camp, it would really make my heart happy, and this is all about me, it would really make my heart happy if Terry McLaurin holds in rather than holds out. I feel like a holding in, at the very least, you're around the team, you can talk to coaches, you can be in the meetings.
You cannot get fined.
You cannot get fined, although those things get waived once the contract is signed. Anyway, there's no bigger slap on the wrist than a team fining someone for holding out, because as soon as that contract is signed, one of the clauses is usually, hey, waive those like $2 million worth of fines that you have on me. I'm not going to do that. And they're like, yep, we will do that. So I'm not worried about the fining situation, but I would like him to be around the team. It also feels like it's significantly less of a distraction when a guy is holding in versus a guy holding out. That's just my take on it. I don't know that the holding out thing is also going to work in the long term. I feel like it
wouldn't
better.
at all. Because so I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, you still have a year on your deal. At what point do you, if you're Terry, at what point, if you do decide to hold out, at what point do you realize, oh, this ain't gonna work?
This ain't gonna work.
And then you show up one day and you're just like, yeah, I'm here.
So I hope that's a hold in more than a hold out.
It should be. If his agent's giving him good advice, which I don't think he is, but
this week, look, man, it's tough to be a PR guy.
It's a hard
PR is a very, very tough job when you're representing something as emotional as football, because there's so much that goes into being a football player. And what we saw this week was very much an emotional stand.
Yeah.
I can't blame him. He wants to be here. They need to rethink the strategy a little bit. In fact, that's what we're going to discuss when we get back here, because the strategy that has taken place, not just earlier this week, but throughout the entire offseason with Terry McLaurin, has been one that is a little bit puzzling. Plus, you will hear what one of his teammates said about Terry McLaurin holding out. I'll play that for you on the other side. This is the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day, sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. Jay Gruden is going to be with us in a little over 30 minutes. We will get his thoughts on the Terry McLaurin contract extension and some of the differences between our quarterback now entering year number 2 and a guy that Jay Gruden coached when he was entering the later, not year number 2, because that was still Shanahan, but the differences between Jaden and one Robert Griffin. First, though, a little bit of housekeeping. I am sitting in, obviously, for Kevin today. I was asking the boys behind the glass. Sheehan does not acknowledge the chat, does he? We are on YouTube. If you do not know, you can watch us on YouTube. You can see my beautiful face. There was a lot of effort into setting this up today, so everybody go watch on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. But you can also interact with us in the chat. Kevin doesn't acknowledge the chat, does he?
I don't think he has any idea that it's even there.
Okay, I think we should start a new drinking game. That you need to take a shot every time that Kevin acknowledges the chat moving forward.
Oh, yeah, that would
you
be
will
the
be
most
stone cold sober for a majority of this game, but eventually, the day that he does take recognize the chat, it'll be a party behind the glass.
It will, because I think when I get back from vacation, I'm going to try and see if we can get it working in before the season goes, kind of get him used to it. But
to be like, hey, there's a thing on the side of this television situation that we got going on here where you can interact with the people.
Hey, people are, instead of trying to call you, they're just trying to write you a message, not on Twitter, but
yeah, just nice and real quick. I think
quick
that'd
and
be
easy.
Fun. Yeah, so that's a new Kevin Sheehan drinking game. Take a shot every time that he acknowledges the chat. So this has been a very interesting week. Generally speaking, it is a very slow time in sports. We don't have any football. We don't have any baseball. We don't have any NBA unless you just love Summer League, which some people do. I am not religiously watching Summer League. Terry McLaurin blessed us, albeit a little bit of a blunder. Terry blessed us with a little bit of stories, shall we say. This whole media game that McLaurin has been playing, I understand what the attempt was. It was very, very clear they wanted to leverage the public in their favor, and they wanted to make things, it almost feels like blow things a little bit out of proportion here. And this goes way back to before this week. The thing that took place, the presser that was like 35 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it was, at a car dealership, that was a jumbled mess to me. And honestly, Terry McLaurin is a little bit better than this. So I was a little bit disappointed. But this goes, I tracked this yesterday, Max, just because I wanted to acknowledge what this media game was. And it was really in part not for something that Terry did this week, but it was because more of what Ian Rappaport reported after what Terry did. Rappaport got on NFL Network and said that Terry McLaurin is asking for $30 million. And my question was, as soon as I saw this video and read this, the post that accompanied it on social media, where was this reporting before? If he's asking for $30 million, and specifically if you are Ian Rappaport, if you knew that information, wouldn't you have reported this before? The answer is yes, because if you're a reporter, as soon as you get that information, you will then give that information. So he was not sitting on this information. He must have been given this information after the debacle that was the Eastern Motors press conference. This goes all the way back to pre-minicamp when you first got the tweet from Jordan Schultz that was then picked up by Adam Schefter that Terry McLaurin was feeling a little bit frustrated and they don't know if he is going to attend mandatory minicamp. A couple days go by. It's very clear there is no 17 there. Terry McLaurin does not attend mandatory minicamp. And we know that he's frustrated because in the initial tweet all the way back in late May, it said that Terry McLaurin is frustrated with the lack of progress in a contract extension. We go an entire month with next to nothing, and then he holds this press conference at Eastern Motors where he expresses frustration. He expresses that he wants to be paid at a fair value, all things that are legitimate, by the way. Like, that was one of the things where I actually appreciated from Terry McLaurin. He did not make any comment that I felt like was out of pocket. He did not make any comment that I felt like was illegitimate. Everything that he said, he was valid in saying, but the process in which they went to kind of make this a bigger thing than it was really put him in a tough spot. The presser went like 25 minutes too long. I mean, after 10 minutes, he was basically done with everything that he needed to say.
Yeah, I mean, it started at what? I think it was 12:45 was when I heard him start speaking. I got in Kevin's ear and was like, yo, we got to throw to this. So he threw to it, and then, because, you did this show, it ends at 1.
Of course.
And we kept, so of course, it 1 o'clock rolls around, and I'm like, we can't end the show here. Chris Russell agreed, AMAC, we all kind of came to a consensus that we need to keep running this. And at about 1:10, I looked at everyone and was like, we can cut away from this. And the second they brought up Italy was when Kevin and I jumped in. We're like, all right, that's enough. We're good. We're good.
I turned it off before they brought up Italy. I didn't. After the first 15 minutes, I was like, I don't need to listen to this anymore. There's no question that is going to be asked that will garner a better response than what we have already gotten.
Right.
Here is the thing, though, and maybe we have this audio. Do you have the audio of Terry acknowledging that it's been a month between conversations?
I don't have the first time he said it, but I do have that first answer from the press conference where he says, like I said, it's been a month. Active discussions need to be had.
So all right. So yeah, give me that one, please, if you don't mind.
Well, I think, there has to be some active discussions, what I mean? Like I said, we haven't talked in over a month, and obviously with camp around the corner, it's becoming a little bit of crunch time. And, obviously you want to be in a position where you're building to what we did last year, and Jaden and I continue to build along with the offense. And that was the thing, before I took a step back, it was things were going great on the field, and the connection and the offense and the energy was just amazing. And so to see where it was then and where it's at now is definitely disappointing. So I don't necessarily know what happens next, but without any progressive discussions, it's kind of hard to see how I step on the field. So I'm just trying to take it day by day, honestly, and I know the value that I bring. And again, I understand that there's just a whole business and things like that, but I know that I'm going to continue to play at a high level. The Lord has blessed me to stay healthy up until this point. I haven't missed a game in 5 years. I haven't missed practices. I block, I play full game, you know what I mean? And so I take extreme care of my body. Anybody in that building knows that whether it's rehab, off the field, I invest a lot of time and money into my body, and I'm going to continue to do that so I can be the best that I can when I step on the football field. So I can't really speculate what happens next. Again, I just got to take things day by day, stay in contact with my agent, and hopefully that we can have some sort of talks that are progressive. But if not, then you have to take steps from there.
So there's a couple different things that I would like to point out there that I think have either been misconstrued and taken to a direction where I don't think they should be, or things that just kind of feel like a flat out miss. So first and foremost, he mentioned that things were in a good spot and then he left. He didn't have to leave. He could have gone to minicamp. He could have stayed. All of those things are true. He does have a contract at the moment. He just wants a better contract. I can't blame him. I want Terry McLaurin to have a better contract. But the idea that he was forced to leave is a swing and a miss, because he was not forced to leave. He could have been there. He decided against it. But again, that is the business of football. So I understand his mentality there. The part about not having conversations for the last month on the surface sounds awful. In reality, it is not nearly as bad as it seems. And in fact, I would much rather them not be having conversations for a month with no deal than having active conversations for a month and still no deal. Because at the very least, once those conversations, there is still the hope that once the conversations eventually do start again, that this will be a very quick process. They will get right to it. And once they're talking, they will sign Terry McLaurin. It's crunch time. Training camp is here. Let's make everybody happy. We want you here. You want to be here. Everything will be fine. That is much, much better than him and the team not, or talking, shall I say, having conversations for a month and still being far apart. It's way more damning to be talking and not agreeing than not talking and not agreeing, because you allow yourself that buffer to start talking and then things to start moving in a positive direction. I want Terry McLaurin to be at training camp, no matter the contract. I don't care what his contract is. I want Terry McLaurin to be in training camp. I want him to hold in, even if he's not participating, even if he's not putting on the pads, I still want him there. You have the ability to be around the team because, again, you have a contract. You want a new contract. That is fair. I like that. But I want you to be there so you can still be around your guys, be around your teammates, be around your coaches. I'm not worried that Terry McLaurin is going to request a trade. That has not even crossed my mind at this point. If he really wanted to, he could have. Like this Eastern Motors event, if you will, which again, it's not even an event. This was a calculated decision by the Terry McLaurin PR team, agent, publicist, whoever it was that put this together. This was a calculated decision. You'll find this crazy. Max, you know this, but for those that don't, our media does not live at Eastern Motives. Like they're just not there all the time. They were told that Terry's going to be there. It's not like teachers when you were in kindergarten where you thought they lived at school. The media does not live at Eastern Motors.
I thought Jeff Walker
might live at Eastern Motors, but like JP Finley does not live at Eastern Motors. He has an actual house. Ben Standing, Nikki Javala, Scott Abraham, like all these people have actual homes that they go to. They don't just live at Eastern Motors.
I don't know, man. Nikki seemed pretty comfortable using that place as her office. I saw the picture.
That's a journalist to journalist. Though.
That's right.
That is legitimate Big J journalist. We have some stuff that we're going to talk about in our third hour that is not Big J journalism.
Beautiful.
But sitting on the floor at Eastern Motors to type up a story is Big J journalism.
It is.
So that was a calculated decision that was made by the McLaurin camp. Now, I do want to play something from one of his teammates because in that cut that we just played from Terry, he mentioned that his teammates are a little bit confused over the course of the 35-minute press conference. He mentioned that his teammates have his back, which is good. It's very, very good. This will echo this. This is Zach Ertz on Up and Adams with Kay Adams yesterday talking about the Terry McLaurin contract extension.
I would like for you to now make me feel better about Terry McLaurin. Can you make me feel better about Terry McLaurin?
Yeah, I mean, I think Terry is a guy. I'm not going to over there. I don't know the business of what's going on. I'm not privy to the conversations. But what is it? July 16th? The first game is September 7th. There's a lot of time between now and then to get something done. But at the end of the day, I mean, everyone knows Terry's working his butt off, whether he's in the building or not in the building. And so for me as a player that's gone through contract situations, public contract situations, I appreciated that my teammates weren't out there giving their opinions and everything like that. So I'm not going to come out here and say one thing or the other. But what I do know is Terry is going to do everything he can to be at his best when his best is needed. And fortunately, his best is not needed tomorrow or early next week. It's needed towards the end of training camp, week 1. So for me, I'm rooting for Terry. I hope he gets paid as much as he wants to get paid. But in terms of the business side of it, I'm going to stay far away from that.
Well said. I mean, you've already made your feelings on him known that he's like the best.
Yeah.
Heart and soul. Yeah, I mean, we all know that.
In terms of like number one receivers, there's two guys, AJ Green, which I saw at the end of his career, Terry McLaurin are the two guys that literally, if they had 150 yards or 20 yards, you couldn't tell the difference in their demeanor. And I think that speaks volumes about the type of people they are, the type of how they work. Dudes just want to be great teammates and give everything they can for their guys. Those two I hold in especially high regard.
That's Zach Ertz talking about Terry McLaurin with Kay Adams on her show Up and Adams. The comparison to that of Terry and AJ Green is one that I hold in high regard. I loved AJ Green. People sleep on AJ Green. AJ Green, when he was in his prime, was silly. He was not in his prime in Arizona when Zach Ertz played with him, but in Cincinnati when he was playing with a red rifle, Andy Dalton, AJ Green was a tough wide receiver to match up against. But you understood the context, or at least the stance that Zach Ertz was taking, and this is a guy that's been in the league for a long, long time. It's July. Like, this is not when you absolutely need Terry McLaurin. You want Terry McLaurin to be signed, but you don't need him to be signed in July. You want him to be signed, or at least this point of July. You want him to be signed at the end of July and into August, when you can start to build into some of the things that you were doing last season and make sure that he is in football shape. I definitely want him in training camp by the end of it. If he misses the first day, my panic meter might move a little bit. Right now, by the way, I'm sitting at a 4. I was sitting at a 4 before the Eastern Motors press conference. I'm sitting at a 4 after the Eastern Motors press conference because, again, he didn't sit there and ask for a trade. He very easily could be pulling a Brandon Ayuk right now. Remember last year when Brandon Ayuk went on a massive media tour where he was asking for a trade but was also too scared to ask for a trade?
Yeah, he went on the pivot, and then he posted pictures with Jaden and
he kind of used
fun,
our quarterback as a little bit of a side chick, which did not like that one bit. But he was doing all these media appearances. He was liking pictures of himself in different renderings of Pittsburgh colors, Washington colors. There might have been a Baltimore colorway in there. Like he was being messy. He was being messy on social media. And the only thing that Terry McLaurin has posted on social media is like his trip to Italy and like going back to Ohio State. All pretty normal things that you would post if you were a wide receiver that recently got married and also played at Ohio State, right? Like there's been nothing out of the ordinary. He's not retweeting Dove Kleinman when Dove Kleinman puts a rendering of him in a Chargers uniform. He's not retweeting any other of these nonsensical aggregator accounts. He said he wants to be here. If he wanted to make a trade and make it public, he would have done it at Eastern Motors. Also, he probably wouldn't have done an Eastern Motors ad if he didn't want to be here. I think Terry has been here long enough to realize the level of the specialness that is Eastern Motors. Like, you don't understand that if you're not from here. Mm-hmm. He's been here long enough to understand what that brand means.
So if you're also on that note, because there were video clips of him during the commercial shoot, in the middle of the commercial shoot, doing lines for the commercial shoot. And during one of the lines he said was, Eastern Motors will donate to a charity of my choice for every touchdown I score this season. So he will be in a Commander's uniform this year.
Touchdowns this year. That is what comes from that. Like you're not doing. This isn't like. Who do we have deals with? I don't think we have car deals. This isn't like he's doing like just a random car dealership deal that we've never heard of. He's doing Eastern Motors. Now I have to be honest. I have never driven past the Eastern Motors building. I don't know where it is. But I see the commercials all the time. And I have great memories of Chris Cooley and Clinton Portis and Santana Moss doing Eastern Motors. And then Ryan Kerrigan and Trent Williams doing Eastern Motors. And now Terry McLaurin doing these commercials. So you're not going to do an Eastern Motors photo shoot if your intention is to then get up there and say, I don't want to be here anymore. That kind of flies in the face. Now, it would have been great if they retired Art Monk's jersey at 11 a.m. and then signed Terry at 1:30. That would have been a Hall of Fame kind of day, at least from a Commander's public relations standpoint. They obviously did not do that, but I'm not particularly worried that Terry is not going to be here in the long term. I think he's going to be a Commander for life. It is just going to be, what is the number? Did Kevin mention numbers on yesterday's show?
No. People, I see somebody in the chat saying that numbers were put in writing, and I would really like to see that link, because we did not say any numbers on the show yesterday. The only numbers that were reported were what Ian Rappaport said, which was the 30 number.
Which was the $30 million. We will come back, assess this a little bit more. Jay Gruden is going to join us in about 20 minutes here on the Kevin Sheehan Show. I want your panic meter. Out of 10, I'm at a 4 right now with Terry McLaurin. What are you at? Where do you stand with Terry McLaurin? Are you panicked? 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Give me your panic meter when we get back. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dent Day sitting in for Kevin on the Team 980. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Dent Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. Jay Gruden will be with us in 15 minutes, get his thoughts on the Terry McLaurin contract extension, or as we currently stand, the lack thereof. We've been talking about the media tour that Terry, or media event rather, that Terry McLaurin held this week, the presser at Eastern Motors. My panic meter is at a 4. It was at a 4 before the meter, or before the press availability. It was at a 4 after the press availability. I thought he made his case. He wants to be paid, but he also wants to be paid here. He wants to be here. He's made a life here. We're just waiting on the actual contract to come about. For me, I want 3 years, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $96 million. That's 32 a year. You can front load the contract. So by the end of that contract, it's a little bit lesser. It's easier on the cap. And by that time, you will be shelling out a boatload, multiple boatloads of money to then pay Jaden Daniels. But you get Terry in the building, and everything in life is good. My panic meter is at a 4. What is your panic meter at? You can chime in on the chat here on YouTube. A reminder, we are available on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not. You can see us, the Kevin Sheehan Show, live every day, 10 to 1. We're 10 to 1. You can see Craig Hoffman from 4 to 7. Jumping on the phones, 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Let's start with our guy, Gary, in Upper Marlboro. Gary, what's your panic meter at right now for Terry?
Thanks for taking my call. It's at a 0, okay? I'm not panicking at all right? This, just like Zach Ertz said, and I called the Junks yesterday and basically said the same thing. This happens every year with teams, okay? There's a holdout. And his position specifically, we're not putting in a new offense. He's not breaking in a new quarterback. He knows everything about this system. I recall when we came off our 91 Super Bowl championship season, our first game was against the Dallas Cowboys. And Michael Irvin held out the entire training camp. He came in, I think, like the Tuesday or Wednesday before that game, and we're thinking, okay, hey, he's going to be rusty. He had a great game and went on to have a great season. From that time on, I was not that concerned about wide receivers or running backs coming in late. So, and the unintended benefit is if he does come in late, then he's in bubble wrap. Okay, he's not risking himself out there on the practice field with a knee injury or anything like that. When Terry signs, he's going to be ready to play. And I think they'll get it done. You very rarely see superstars not get a contract done. And I think Terry needs to get it done, because if he sits out the season, which I think he's not going to do,
he will not.
His market value goes down next year, and he's out of $15 million. So it's going to get done. I have no concern whatsoever.
Gary, that's a great call. I will echo that final statement. He is not going to sit out this entire year. And most people saw the Le'Veon Bell scenario and how poorly that played out. You're just not sitting out the entire year. The player does not have any leverage to do that. They lose out on a ton of money. They also lose a year potentially in the prime. And considering that Terry had one of his best seasons last year, sitting out for an entire year, he would then be 31 doing this whole song and dance again, which would be a very tough spot to be in. Let's go to Lou in DC. Lou, what's going on?
D-Day, what's going on, player?
I'm good, man.
I'm going to say that, too, because the simple fact that it took him this long, it's been a month, without even doing having any conversation about the contract. So, but I think to me, they kind of get it, they need to get it done as soon as possible, man. I mean, the guy is, he's a stand-up guy, and he's beloved all around the league, not just here, but I just hope, they find a way to come to a term and, give that man, 32, 30, whatever he's asking. I heard Kevin mention about Amon St. Brown, getting a 4-year, whatever, 130. He's getting a 30 a year. But, to me, I know, age kind of come a factor, but I mean, Terry, man, he could play another 10 years in the league, man. The dude he's built, man. He's built for I'm dead serious. I mean, 30 is like he's in his 20, man. I mean, the guy, he's been like you said, he's been, 5 years without being injured, and, he's played every practice and every game. So to me, it's just, I don't like the way they're dragging it. But I just hope they find a way. They come to a term and sign the guy, man, because he's I love that dude, man. He's a no nonsense dude, and I just hope they make him a Burgundy forever, man, because that's the way I look at that. I look at Terry, man, because there's not a lot of players that I look at.
Lou, I appreciate it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I will push it. He's probably not going to play 10 years. If he has another good 3 to 4 years in him, I think that is fantastic. And at that point, he would have played, 12 to 14 years at a high level in the NFL. That's all you can ask for a guy, particularly of where he was drafted. So he's not going to play another 10 years. I do want to point out, because I have heard the conversation, and generally speaking, I do align with this conversation of it's always better to pay guys sooner rather than later. That I agree with almost wholeheartedly. This scenario is slightly different because generally when you make that claim, what you are doing is taking into consideration that a team is going to reset the market. So like take Brock Purdy, for example, with San Francisco. San Francisco wanted to pay him earlier rather than later in the event where someone who was worse than him had a big contract and then they had to adjust their numbers. If you're looking to reset the market, which San Francisco didn't do with Brock Purdy, but they paid him a big time money. When Max Crosby got paid by Las Vegas, the Browns were put under more pressure because they knew they had to pay Myles Garrett a number that would reset the market. That's probably a way better example than Brock Purdy. So we're going to use that one. I don't think that Adam Peters and the financial people in Ashburn ever had planned to reset the market with Terry McLaurin. And in fairness, I don't believe that Terry or his marketing team ever thought that the market was going to be reset with him. He's not going to get Jamar Chase money. He's not going to get Justin Jefferson money. He might not even get CeeDee Lamb money. So it was never a discussion of resetting the market, which then gives the leverage to the team. You have a little bit of time to work with because you're not under the pressure of kind of paying attention to what other teams are doing. Now, the Garrett Wilson contract, I think, did make this a little bit more of a discussion because if you look at the seasons that Terry has had and the seasons that Garrett Wilson has had, they're not all that different in terms of the statistical production. Terry had way more touchdowns last year, but Garrett Wilson had more yards, more receptions. So some things do lean more in favor of Garrett Wilson. He's also younger, but they're not all that much different. This is the benefit that you have if you're Adam Peters, and this is a very nice look at the mentality of this Washington front office. We've never seen this before with them. We don't know how they're going to react and respond to something like this. We saw them pay Sam Cosmi last year, who was entering the final year of his rookie deal as a second-round pick, so he did not have a fifth-year option. They didn't pay Sam Cosmi until September. Cosmi was at training camp. He was working out with the team the entire offseason. In September, right before the regular season started, September 4th, I believe, is the day where it was officially reported that they agreed to terms. September 4th is when Sam Cosmi got paid this time last year. I hope they pay Terry before then, but we do have at least that one data point of this organization likes to wait a little bit now that Adam Peters is here. They're not afraid to wait a little bit before they strike a deal. So I'm not all that worried. That's one of the reasons I'm not that worried. They are comfortable waiting, but they're also going to take care of the guys that need to be taken care of. Let's go to Bobby in North Carolina. Bobby, what's going on? Bobby, you got me? No, Bobby. We'll come back to him. Let's go to Lap. Lap, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Den? Good show, bro. Good to hear from
it.
you, man. You know you're my guy, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm probably at a 4. Yeah, I'm probably at a 4 because I ain't gonna panic too much, but yeah, that press conference kind of scared you a little bit, man, when they did put that in motion. But Terry's a dog, man. He's special. He's talented. You know, like I said the other day on Kevin, and he's not like he's our number one. You know what I'm saying? Good locker room guy. You know, all the intangibles that he brings, like Joe Theismann says. So we got to pay that man. Pay that man his money. And hopefully we can get these guys on the field, man, and get that chemistry and build off last season. Because we don't want any distractions. Then we trying to focus and build
and go. And I like the Von Miller pickup. That's even though I wanted Jadeveon Clowney, but Von Miller can really help us out a lot, man. And if he can give us, he had 6 sacks last year. If he can give us any remotely close to that, I'll take it, bro. So we'll see, man. But hopefully it'll get resolved. Hopefully next week, and we still got some time before the season. So we'll see.
Yeah, Lav, appreciate it as always. I would love anywhere between like 4.5 and 4.5 plus sacks from Von Miller. But I am not worried about the Terry thing. I stand with a lot of our callers. The deal is going to get done. It's a matter of when, not if, and just learning how this front office operates. Generally speaking, I don't think that great organizations factor too much of the intangibles when it comes to long-term extensions. You have to be willing, if you are a great general manager, to make some tough decisions. I think Terry is different because he's still playing at a high level. And you want to keep around the guys, especially if you're going to divvy out big-time money. You want to keep the guys around that are playing at a high level and have the intangible things. If it was just about intangibles, John Allen might still be here because he was a locker room leader, a presence in the locker room. He did a lot of things, at least on the surface, really, really well. They weren't afraid of moving away from him because he was not playing at an all-pro level. Terry is playing at an all-pro level, so I do think that has to factor in at least somewhat in these discussions, but I'm not afraid of allowing Adam Peters to do his job. We wanted, as a fan base, a legitimate general manager that was going to build a winner. I'm going to let him do what he is doing. I've seen a lot of pushback to the way that Adam Peters has handled some things because of the Terry McLaurin contract extension. I am not there. I am not subscribing to the anti-Adam Peters because it's mid-July and Terry has not gotten paid yet. Let the football people do the football. We had 30 years where the football people were not allowed to do the football. So let the football people do the football. Speaking of football guys, Jay Gruden, former coach of the team, now a great analyst. He's going to join us on the other side. We will get his thoughts on this Terry McLaurin contract extension and what could be next for Washington. It is the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin at the Denton Day on Twitter. Jay Gruden next.
All right, welcome to Washington. Von Miller, he announced via his Instagram last night in a caption, DC, what's good? The 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, and 2-time Super Bowl champ with Denver and LA has signed a 1-year deal in Washington to chase another Super Bowl ring. Oh, how weird that sounds. In Washington, they get a much-needed pass rusher. Last night, the Wiz, they fall to the Utah Jazz in the Summer League 86-76. The Wiz kids, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, Will Riley, and Trey Johnson did not play due to a coach's decision. A.J. Johnson led the team in points for the second game in a row. He had 25. And MLB All-Star, Ketel Marte, his home was robbed during the All-Star break, more likely during the All-Star game. This is in connection with a slew of athletes having their homes robbed while traveling for games, including Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Items that were stolen include a litany of personal items, as well as jewelry. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live from 10 to 1 and Craig Hoffman from 4 to 7. Don't forget to like the stream and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on a Thursday. Von Miller signed to the Commanders late last night. We were also hoping and praying that Terry McLaurin will sign an extension with the Commanders sometime between now and training camp starting in about 10 days. Joining us now on the phone, former Redskins head coach Jay Gruden, kind enough to give us a few moments here. Coach, first and foremost, appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts on the Von Miller signing that happened late last night?
Well, it's a good sign. A veteran guy who knows how to rush the passer. He's not going to be much of a run-stopping guy in Coach Quinn's defense, but they do need some juice on third down and 5+. So he'll give them that added spark, so to say. A 1-year deal. There's no, you're not tied to him for a long time, but it's good. They had a chance in OTAs to look at some of their young pass rushers, see what they had, and they probably realized that, hey, we need a little spark. We need one more guy that can come in on third down and provide a spark. And whether he makes the team or not is yet to be seen. But he'd be a good addition for those situational type games.
What is the benefit of having a guy like Von Miller for some of the younger players like a Javonte Jean-Baptiste on this roster?
Well, he knows how to rush the passer. A lot of it, he was in his prime was athletically. He's like really gifted. It's hard to teach that athleticism, that speed, that ability to bend. His closing rate, it's hard to teach that, but he does have great hands, knows how to work against the tackle and his techniques. And, if tackle oversets, he knows how to use his hands to get underneath them. If he short sets them, he can swipe them and get around them. And so a lot of different techniques he can use, but his athletic ability is what made him Von Miller. He doesn't quite have that full athletic ability anymore, but he's still an effective pass rusher, and it can help the younger guys work on some things.
What have you noticed over the last couple of weeks, but specifically the last couple of days here when it comes to the Terry McLaurin contract extension debacle that is seemingly taking place?
Yeah, it's a tough situation for everybody involved, especially Terry and obviously Adam Peters and Coach Quinn stuck right in the middle of it. He probably wants to take Terry McLaurin's side, but he can't really do that. He's got to be on Team Washington football, Washington Commanders right now. So I think, it's a helpless feeling. And we were similar with Trent Williams when, he didn't want to come back, and obviously the Kirk Cousins debacle that we had there. So I kind of understand it. You want the players back in your building because you want to coach the best players, but you also have to, leave it to Adam Peters, the GM, the president, the owner to get it done. And sometimes it doesn't get done, and you got to move on and coach the guys you have.
I'm glad you mentioned the Trent and the Kirk situation that you had to deal with. How does that impact the way that you start your preparation, at least to this point in the season, not knowing whether a guy is going to be there or not?
Well, Kirk was going to be there. That was no. We couldn't get him to an extension. Trent was different. Trent, I kind of figured Trent wasn't going to be there, so we prepared. We signed Donald Penn and tried to get some young guys ready. Having a 37-year-old Donald Penn instead of Trent Williams, a little bit different dynamic. You have to kind of plan your pass protection a little bit different. You got to chip. You got to do all kinds of different things to help out the old man. Donald did a great job. He came in and busted his tail, but he's no Trent. Not at that time. He was at one time. He was pretty good, but that was a tough dynamic. And then obviously losing Jordan Reed to injury. We had those injuries before too, so that's hard. You just got to try to do the best you can with the players that you have, and that's what Coach Quinn's going to do. Fortunately, they got a young rookie that can really run. They got Debo in there. They got McCaffrey in his second year, which is good. They got Michael Gallup with some experience. So they have some guys in-house, obviously Debo, that can make some plays. And Zach Ertz is still in-house, and, and the running game should be good. And obviously Jaden Daniels is the key. So hopefully Terry will say, hey, you know what, maybe I'll take a little bit less money and play with this unbelievable quarterback in a situation they have at Washington. Because, sometimes the grass isn't always greener for a few more $1 million somewhere else. So I don't know. I love Terry. I think he's a great player, a great leader, a great person. So you want to reward guys like that. So I'm torn. I'm on Team Terry for sure, but it's a tough situation.
I know you have a good relationship with him. Have you spoken with him? Maybe not about the contract stuff, but just about what last season ended up being and finally getting a legit quarterback for him?
No, I haven't spoken to him in a while. I haven't spoken to any players and some of the retired guys I have, but no, I just know what type of guy Terry is, and he'll make it work, whatever happens for him in his future. But he's looking at Garrett Wilson. He's looking at the other guys to get contracts. And Terry has done a lot for this franchise. He really has. He's a fan favorite. He's a team locker room favorite. I don't know what the risk is for paying him some money. You know, this is the type of guy. He's the type of guy you want to pay because you know he's going to be there. He's going to be in shape. He's a great leader, a great person, a great player. He's very unselfish. He'll do everything you want him to do. So if you're going to pay somebody, that's the type of guy you want to pay. I don't know what the confusion is, but maybe they're bracing for the richest contract in the history of football in Jaden Daniels in a year or two. So I don't know.
Jay Gruden with us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dent Day sitting in for Kevin here on the team 980. You had mentioned Deebo Samuel, Coach. You obviously are an offensive mind. How would you utilize Deebo Samuel with some of the talent that is around this offense?
You know, first of all, we got to get him healthy. That's number one. You know, the things that makes Deebo is his ability to do some of the things that not many receivers can do. Line up in the backfield, the jet sweeps, the short passes that he can run people over, and him in the running game where he's blocking safeties and digging out safeties and cracking defensive ends and linebackers. This is a physical specimen that is a special player after the catch. So you don't have to throw the ball deep to him. You can throw the ball intermediate and short and screens, and he'll make big plays for you. So he's got to be healthy to do that. He's got to have his shoulder healthy. He's got to be able to run people over because that's who he is. He's not an elusive guy. He's a power player. So hopefully he gets that power and that strength back in his shoulders and his knees and legs, and he can be that type of guy because he's one of my favorite receivers that have played in the last 5-6 years. He is a dynamic player and a physical. I love those big physical guys that can, that's the type of mentality you want on offense, physicality, and he brings that to the table.
How would you balance using him on the outside versus potentially using him in the backfield in ways that San Francisco did in his final few years there?
Well, a lot depends on, Austin Eckler and B-Rob and all that, how they're doing. You might not need to use them in the backfield, but a lot of times you get people in different defensive packages and you line up an empty and then you bring back a receiver into the backfield. Teams have their empty automatic coverages and all of a sudden now there's a back and all of a sudden they get a little confused. You hand it to them right on the inside zone or outside zone or whatever it might be, or zone read with Jaden Daniels and defenses get on their heels and they don't know really how to adjust to it. So I wouldn't use them. I would try to give them the ball at least 4 or 5 times in the running game, and then 3 or 4 times in the jet sweeps and all that's in the screens, and then the drop back game. So I would love to see him get 9-10 touches a game somehow, some way.
Jay Gruden with us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dent Day sitting in for Kevin. What do you think went wrong, at least statistically, in the game for Brian Robinson last year?
I don't know. I think the ability for Jaden to really run too, use his legs, and him throwing the ball as effectively as he does probably took a little bit more. I think Cliff as a play caller is like, why am I going to hand the ball off here when I can throw the ball with this Jaden Daniels cat? Let's put the ball in Jaden's hands a little bit more than B-Rob. But I think they'll utilize B-Rob again more. They got the rookie they drafted in the 7th round. Maybe he'll push him a little bit. Eckler is back, I assume, right? He's still there. Yeah. So they got Eckler. So they got 3 or 4 guys that can really hurt you or do some different things. B-Rob's more of a between a tackle guy. Eckler's obviously a space player. And then, this other rookie they got is probably a little bit of combination of both. So they got a good 3-headed monster, but I just think the versatility that Jaden brings to the table and the things that he can do with the ball in his hands, you want in his hands more often than not.
Coach, there has been a conversation nationally. This is not a local conversation. I think most of the local people realize the difference, but there's been a conversation nationally fearing that Robert and Jaden will have a very similar year 2. What are some of the differences between Jaden and Robert as players and quarterbacks?
Well, that's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Jaden is a special kid. I mean, nothing against Robert, but Jaden is a skilled passer. What he did at LSU, throwing the football, he played for 5 years in college. I think Robert played for 1. So Jaden's a lot more experienced. He's a lot more fine-tuned as a quarterback. His footwork, his anticipation, his ability to drop balls in small areas and touch and then scramble with an awareness to look down the field and find people as a passer and to hurt you with his legs. He just has a combination of everything that you want in a quarterback. He's the type of quarterback that if you're drawing up a quarterback, this is the type of guy I want. I want a guy that can drop back and throw it on time and accurately. I want a guy that can escape pressure. I want a guy that can do some zone read stuff. I want a great leader. I want he's got every intangible that you want. Robert was not very adept to the drop back passing game. He played at Baylor, which wasn't a drop back school. It was a one read type game and run. He's a great player at Baylor, won the Heisman, had a great rookie year. But then when he had an injury, he tried to transition into a true drop back quarterback. That wasn't quite ready for that. Jaden, on the other hand, was ready for that, playing at LSU with Coach Nussmeier, and his offensive coordinator did a great job in the passing game with the receivers that he had. They're just totally different, and Jaden's just much more experienced in the fact of playing the quarterback position than Robert was in year 2.
How do you think Jaden can get better in year number 2?
He's just continue to grow with Cliff and learn the system and learn defenses, study fronts, study blitzes, make sure you know where your receivers are at all times, and protect yourself. I just want to make sure he continues to work on protecting himself, near the sideline, all that stuff, which he did a great job of last year. And pick his spots. Let's not run between the tackles too often. If we do, let's get down quickly and understand that you are the face of the franchise. You have the keys in your hand. You are running the show. They need you on the field, so protect yourself. But there's really he's going to get better and better, which is very scary for the National Football League. How
much do you think Laramie Tunsil is going to benefit that maturation process for Jaden and allow the team to keep him upright?
Yeah, he's one of the better pass blockers. He's got to stay away from the penalties. He had like 19 or 20 of them last year, and if he can do that, then from passing situations, known passing situations, to have a left tackle that is that skilled in pass protection is very, very important because Washington's pretty fortunate. They played with the lead a lot of times last year. They never had to really be in known passing situations, 3rd and 8 or down 2 touchdowns with, a quarter to go. But if they are in that situation, now they have a left tackle that can really protect his blind side, which is critical.
What do you think about the actual Burgundy coming back, albeit only for 3 games, but it'll be nice to not see that, cranberry ass red that they gave us the past few years.
It should always be Burgundy. We all know that. And hopefully that'll be a mainstay, and maybe even change a name or something like that. That would be awesome as well.
Do you think that eventually those uniforms will be back in like 27 or 26, that they'll be the full-time whites again?
I think with the demand that the fans have on it, I think this is a fan-driven league for sure. I think he's got to see that. And, but who knows? With Jaden, what he's doing and the success that they're having, I think the fans will buy any damn color as long as they're winning, right? So I don't think the colors really matter. I think the winning divisions, winning the NFC East, winning the NFC championship, and winning Super Bowl is really all the fans want.
All right, Coach, I'll get you out of here on this. We started with the Terry McLaurin contract. We will end with the Terry McLaurin contract. Do you eventually think that it gets done and he is happy and on the team week 1?
I do think it gets done. Like I mentioned before, if you're going to pay a player, you want a guy that's going to be on time. He's going to be in shape. He's going to bust his ass. He's unselfish. He's a great kid, works his ass off, and very, very, very productive. So when you check all those boxes, who else are you going to pay? Who else do you want to pay, man? Pay the man his money. Let's get him in town.
Coach, greatly appreciated. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the offseason. I know it's hot out here, but hopefully you're playing some good golf.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm playing right now at 12:30 cart path only. It's going to be miserable, but I'm going to fight through it because I'm a tough guy.
Yeah, battling adversity. That's what all great players do, right?
Exactly right.
All right, Coach, appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks, fellas. See you.
That is Jay Gruden, who is good enough to join us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin. You can tweet me at the Denton Day. Some good stuff there from Jay Gruden. I really wanted to ask him about that comparison with Robert and Jaden. I knew he was going to make a comment about the team. Look, I get it. I know my audience here. But I wanted to ask him about that conversation of Jaden and Robert, because one of the craziest clips that I have seen in between filling in for Kevin, Max, was when Cam Newton asked that question to Wale.
Sure.
Like that felt like a weird part of the simulation where a football player is asking a rapper about football. Normally it feels like the other way around, but yeah. I love Wale and Wale knows ball, so I understand it. But it was very odd for Cam Newton to be the one asking about Robert and Jaden. You would think, of all people, that Cam Newton would be very much on top of the differences. Like that to me felt like a question that is more served for your get-ups, your first takes.
Sure.
That is a very much an ESPN kind of question when they're just trying to look for something to clip on social. Maybe that is what the Cam Newton podcast, 4th and 1, I think it's called, was trying to do. But like, if you watch the games, which we do here, the difference between Robert and Jaden is substantial. when it comes to playing the quarterback position. I know Robert had a great year. I'd loved Robert for that great year. Loved in the past tense, because that love does not currently exist. But in the past tense, I'd loved Robert for that great year. But these two guys are completely different players. Completely different. And some of the things that Jaden did so well as a rookie, which led to him being the top 5 quarterback in ESPN's list that was put together by coaches, scouts, and executives, that is going to lead to him likely being, I would say for sure, top 30, maybe top 25 or top 20 in the NFL's top 100 list, is because of the way that he was able to process and be both a legitimate pocket passer while also having the dual threat ability that only somebody like a Lamar Jackson, or in turn, like Robert, had in 2012. But it's just such a rare breed to be able to be as good of a runner as Jaden was while also being as good of a passer. Like, comparing Robert to Jaden feels just completely out of left field at this point. And really, like, you want to talk about, does somebody know ball or not? These are the questions that you ask in DC. RG3 or Jaden? If anybody even hesitates, they don't know ball. You ask them in basketball, Wall or Beal. If they even hesitate, they don't know ball. If someone says Bradley Beal over John Wall, kick them to the curb. Throw them in the Potomac.
Maybe punch them in the face.
Maybe punch them in the face. Robert or Jaden? I like that answer from Jay Gruden. We will continue to discuss the Terry McLaurin contract extension and just what we are learning from Adam Peters. Plus, we got a little bit of Denton's daily news coming in hour number 3. So we will get to that. Take some more of your phone calls at 301-230-0980. This is the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day, sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980 at the Denton Day on Twitter. Just had a great conversation with Jay Gruden. We will react to that in a little bit. But I am here. I am sitting in. I have some news. So let's get to daily. Max, we got a doozy. We got a bunch of things to get into, but this has to be story number one. At a Coldplay concert last night, Andy Byron, you're like, who's Andy Byron? He is the CEO of Astronomer, some tech company, I would assume. I doubt like a turf company is called Astronomer. Maybe it is. I don't know.
That would be something.
He is the CEO of Astronomer. He was put on, I don't know if this was Kiss Cam.
It was,
or if it was just like Jumbotron Hug Cam. I don't know what it was.
It's slow song couple cam that, concerts like to do.
Like, I don't know what Coldplay does for their set, so I don't know what the cam was. But Andy Byron was put on camera with his arms around a woman named Kristen Cabot. You're like, well, Denton, who is Kristen Cabot? Kristen Cabot is the HR chief at Astronomer. The guy, CEOs, HR people, maybe they've known each other for a long time, been married, could be a husband and wife combo at work. Well, there is a husband and a wife in this story, Max. Unfortunately, these two are not the husband and the wife. Andy Byron has a wife. That wife is not Kristen Cabot. And then Coldplay's Chris Martin gets on the microphone and basically calls them out. So what happened was these two are put on the screen, realize, oh my God, we're on the Jumbotron, and immediately jump off of camera. Andy Byron just completely ducks. He just sits down. He taps out. He says, guys, I am out. Kristen Cabot turns around and shields her face. And then the lead singer of Coldplay is like, they might be having an affair.
You want to hear it? I got it.
Give it to me. Pause. I don't think they're very shy. I love that he threw that in there as like the failsafe. If a guy ducks out of the camera, it's not because he's camera shy. I can promise you that. I am in a happy and loving relationship, Max, so I don't need the advice that I'm about to give. However, if I were to be a CEO that was having an affair with the HR person at the company, do you think that's been reported to HR? It definitely has been now.
Of course not.
I mean, I don't think beforehand it was reported. But if I were to be having an affair, I would not bring them, one, to a public event, but I also wouldn't bring them to a Coldplay concert. Like, I pray that I never in my life, just in general, like affair or not, I pray that never in my life, to add extra spice and zest, do I go to a Coldplay concert. Maybe they're great in person. I have no idea. It doesn't feel like we need to spice in the relationship up a little bit, sweetie. Let's go listen to Clocks.
The people love Coldplay, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I like Coldplay, but I don't think that's not something where I'm like, need that one. Need that in my life. Give me some Coldplay. You can't take the side piece to a concert. You take them to somewhere where there's not people.
Yeah, a park or something. Make out point, something. Not a concert.
Or you're a CEO. You got homes, plural. Like, you don't need to go to Coldplay. And if you were going to Coldplay, get yourself in a suite where there's not, where they never put on these sorts of cameras?
It's true.
The people in the suite. They put the regulars up there. You don't need to put the light on the rich people. They're already living life. You put it on the broke people to make them want to come back. Like, hey, you ain't got much for you because you're at a Coldplay concert. You ain't got much going on for you. Here's your 4 seconds of fame on the Jumbotron. I can't believe that this is going crazy viral, by the way, which it should be.
Yeah.
Just an absolute, for a guy that's a CEO, it must be dad's money because the brains are not there.
Clearly.
Street smarts, not there.
What's this guy's name? Hold on, let me do some research.
His name is Andy Byron. Honestly, I want to know what Astronomer is. Like, what is it? What is it that they are creating and crafting and bringing into our world? Because if they're dumb enough to do this, it does make me question what it is, the technology that they are dealing with.
So I'm just looking at the initial Google software company in Cincinnati, Ohio, astronomer, the best place to run Apache Airflow. No idea what that is.
Don't know what that is. I will go somewhere else for my business.
Yeah.
If CEO is dumb enough to bring side chick to a Coldplay concert,
who is your head of HR? It's just
like
inexcusable.
You would think if you are going to have an affair with the head of HR, you would take extra. Like, this isn't just one person. The HR person is clearly not intelligent either. It's literally her job to make sure this doesn't happen. And then they go to a Coldplay concert and they're then performing acts of PDA. It's just a hug. Don't get too twisted. But you are being seen with your arms around your HR head.
Imagine having that thought pre-show and being like, it's a 1 in what? 50 to 80,000 chance that we get shown on the Jumbotron. Bam, life
I'd go
falling apart.
Honestly, I would test that luck and go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Might
and
as
also,
well.
how hilarious is it that Chris Martin was like, they're probably having an affair? Is this an inside job? Did somebody set these two up? The vice president was like, this Andy Byron guy's been getting on my nerves. I know he's taking Kristen from HR to the Coldplay concert. Let me see if I can shell in a couple extra bucks. I would assume the Cincinnati area is very well connected. If you are a high up individual, you might be able to shell a couple extra bucks, get them put on the big screen.
Andy Byron's wife got in touch with Coldplay and be like, hey, he's cheating on me. I just need you to get it on video.
God, getting exposed like this on video is terrible.
In 4K.
In 8K.
How did
honestly.
you get caught in 4K?
Rich enough to get a suite, standing with the peasants. Got to be smarter than that. All right, other news that I do want to get into. Some actual football stuff. Bobby Wagner made the NFL Top 100 list, as he should. The NFL is doing this thing, whereas normally they would put out like 10, I think, every like 5 days or every Monday or something like that.
Yeah, they would do 10 a week, and now it's
to prolong the experience of list season, which I didn't hate, by the way. It was very good content for the past 2 summers. It made the dog days of summer, especially when the Nationals were not particularly good. It made the dog days of summer very, very easy to go and do that. But they're releasing it now 2 a day. They're going 2 a day. Bobby Wagner snagged 74 on the countdown. I haven't watched this video yet, just because I'm doing the show, so I will watch it afterwards. But it features Lane Johnson from Philadelphia, Quan Martin's in it, Brian Robinson is in it. I am very excited to see what some of the people across the league say about Bobby Wagner. We know that the guy is loved. He was an All-Pro last year, so it feels like 74 is a very good ranking for a guy that was an All-Pro at his age. Great leader, too. Like, there's a lot of things going for Bobby Wagner here. The question now, because I would assume, I think, has Louvu been on this list yet? I don't know if Louvu's been on this list yet.
No, the only commander who's popped up on the list so far has been Laramie and now Bobby.
Right, and Laramie he's commander now, but was a Texan.
Prior.
So you'll get Louvu, I would imagine, before 50, probably in the 60s, maybe high 50s, maybe probably like 58 would be the lowest that I think that Louvu would show up. But the expectation is that Terry will be on this list very low, and that Jaden will be the lowest person on this list. I would say that Jaden comfortably should be in the top 30 of the top 100, potentially even in the top 25 or 20, depending on how they feel about quarterbacks in relation to everybody else. But like, you'll have Jamar Chase, obviously, Myles Garrett, a bunch of the Philadelphia defensive guys. I think defense will kind of win a lot of those battles, but I do think, oh my God, is Jamin Davis in this thing?
Is he?
Yeah, Jamin Davis just showed up. What does Jamin Davis say about Bobby Wagner?
Only good things, I would hope.
Oh, and Emmanuel Acho. Wow. They are just getting everybody there.
Less interested now.
A lot less interested. You know what's going to be even worse than that? You know this is going to come. The eventual Emmanuel Acho Robert Griffin podcast. That's on the horizon.
So there's one saving grace, and it's that all of the...
It's that I don't have to listen to that podcast.
Well, yeah, all of the horrible takes are combined into one entity, so I can mute that one entity and not have to deal with it.
They're going to pay so much for promotion. It's going to be you won't be able to escape it.
Hey, listen, man.
I know their
hit,
games.
You hit the block button enough on it. Eventually, Twitter will stop recommending it to you.
It'll eventually stop. Did you watch any of the ESPYs last night?
I did. Keep tapped into a little bit of it. I mean, Shane stole the show last night.
Shane Gillis was masterful in his comedy. It was the perfect blend of a little bit edgy, but like still kind of funny. The Juan Soto thing where I was like, they let him say that on Disney? Everything else pretty much understood that this was going to be fair game. He was excellent.
Did you see the Deshaun Watson joke?
I did not see the Deshaun Watson.
Oh, Shane even said, like, before he was reading it on the teleprompter, he was like, I didn't write this, and then said the joke, and then was like, everybody laughed, and he was like, I really didn't want to tell that one, guys. I'll be honest.
He is very he's very open about that because he said that a couple of different times during some of the jokes that he gave, like the Epstein joke. He was like, I didn't write this one. I'm sure that when a comedian says, I didn't write this one, and then delivers it perfectly, it makes me feel like they absolutely wrote this one. And they are just trying to get a little bit of like hey guys.
Yeah, passing the buck a little bit.
My bad. You go blame somebody else for that. I just don't think there's a lot of comedy writers that can write like expertly in Shane Gillis's voice the way that he delivered all of the jokes expertly in Shane Gillis's voice.
I kind of have a feeling that his buddy Matt McCusker, who was also at
Tires guy.
Yeah.
I'm
sure he had and I know they have creative consultants, and one of my little brother's coworkers who works at Barstool, Lil Sass, Harry Settle, also got a credit. So they're a team of writers that Shane had and a team of consultants and stuff like that. So I'm sure everybody threw in a little bit here and there.
You have to have comedians host the ESPYs.
Yeah.
One, you got to make athletes laugh at themselves.
Mhm.
Like, it's July. Loosen up a little bit. You know, unwind a little bit. You're not, no one's getting canceled for this sort of stuff anymore. Like, just laugh at yourself a little bit. And I thought there was some of that, not a lot of that last night, but there was some of that. But you need to have comedians, because if not, who cares about the ESPYs anymore?
Yeah.
I used to love the ESPYs. Like, I absolutely used to love the ESPYs. And now, because no one goes, I mean, I did see Lamar there last night, and I think Lamar might have been the biggest player that was at the ESPYs. It used to, like, LeBron would be there all the time. Kobe would be there. Brady would be there. Manning hosted the damn thing. But now, because none of the big athletes show up, I don't care. But if you're going to give me great comedians, and Gillis is like top of the game right now, then I'm going to be very interested in watching, albeit I didn't watch. But I was watching wrestling, you know, because I'm a nerd.
Priorities.
Yeah, priorities. Hangman just won the title. What am I supposed to do? But I do need to find, I just saw that the full monologue was posted. ESPN's Twitter took a while. I'm going to guess that they're not going to post the full thing. Probably not. But I thought it was really, really funny. And if they get more comedians, I will be watching more of the ESPYs. How about Fox Sports and Barstool agreeing to a deal that is going to land Dave Portnoy on Big Noon Kickoff? It's also going to put Barstool content on Fox. We just mentioned a bunch of the layoffs, right? With Emmanuel Lacho being gone, Keyshawn Johnson being gone. Basically, what I saw was that all of the shows that Charlie Dixon was a part of or had a hand in creating are now gone. You're like, who is Charlie Dixon? Allegedly, very allegedly, he was the one that had gotten very friendly with Joy Taylor. Not like Coldplay friendly, but you know, they were probably doing the rendezvous a little bit.
A couple notches, I think, a little bit above that.
A little bit above, but they weren't doing it Coldplay. So, you know, they did it in the way where it was mentioned in like a lawsuit. I don't know that the Coldplay thing will be in a lawsuit.
Well,
might be some bad emails, but I don't know if it'll be
divorce proceedings.
That is true. Yeah, that is true, actually. But yes, they basically took out every show that Charlie Dixon was a part of, and now they're going to put Barstool content on there, and Dave Portnoy will be on Big Noon Kickoff. You are a somewhat college football fan, right?
Yes.
Massive.
And
do you have an allegiance in the pregame show? Because I know
No.
if you talk to college football fans, there are people that either really, really love College Game Day, or there are people that really, really love Big Noon Kickoff.
Yeah, I have no real allegiance other than, well, my brother is a Barstool employee, so I have to take the company line on this a little bit. But it's going to be interesting, just Dave on, because they have had, like, this isn't Dave's first time on like a desk style show like that. Like, they have the college football show that they do on campus on Saturdays. that I don't know that they'll be doing anymore since Dave's
Yeah, so
gonna be on
how
game
is
day.
that going to work? Because I actually did kind of like, I'm not like a massive consumer of Barstool.
Mhm.
You know, I'll watch Pardon My Take when I like some of the interviews. Like they had a good one with Dan Patrick.
They had a good one with
Basically,
Trevor Lawrence not too long ago.
I'll
too.
watch anything with Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
I love Dan Patrick.
One
But
of
I
the
do
goats.
kind of watch their college football show, and it was good. They got to some big time campuses. So I'm curious to see how that one is going to work if Portnoy is now going to be on Fox, because you still have great talent there. Big Cat's a big college football guy, Casey Smith.
Brandon Walker.
Big college football girl, Brandon Walker. I mean, I know a guy that's open to it if you need it. But like they have a bunch of talented people there, so I'm curious to see how that will go.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see like what type of content they're going to air on FS1. If it's just going to be like the big shows like PMT. They're like they have a sports advisory show that they do that comes out on Friday nights. I don't know if Fox Sports will touch that because it's very gambling heavy. But they also
They
have like
should. I mean, why are we afraid of? If you're still afraid of gambling in 2025,
Fair.
like unless you're the NBA, in which case you should be afraid of gambling because your players won't stop doing it. But if you're a media company and you're afraid of gambling, you need to grow up.
Oh, 8 minutes ago, Shane Gillis full opening monologue. That's on YouTube for you, Denton.
I can't wait. I have something to do after this. I got a workout to do later today, Max. I normally work out after the morning show that I now work on. I'm not going to work out after this show because it'll be blazing hot. It's going to be like 92 degrees.
You could like walk home and could be considered a workout.
Well, because I'm doing this half marathon thing, I have like legit workouts I have to do.
I suppose that's fair.
Coaching and all of these things, coaching via watch. But anyway, so I gotta do that. Final thing here that I wanted to put on. Actually, there's a couple things here. I lied.
I was like, I got one in the chat that I do want to talk
One
to
in
you
the
about.
chat is one that I wanted to
right,
discuss
good,
because it's
good.
been very quiet with old Bobby Three Sticks when Shaq entered the chat. He was very quick to come back at Mr. Ryan Clark when Ryan Clark went after him. Darius Butler from the Pat McAfee show went after Robert. RG3 tweeted out a graphic that had positioned Angel Reese as an animal that is not too fondly of. It came off as very ill-timed.
Incredibly.
First of all, no one saw the graphic, and he just took it to his millions
Say,
of
hey
followers.
guys, did you see this?
Hey, did you see this terribly racist thing? Oh, you didn't? Well, here it is. I'll show it to you. He posted it, and then in classic Robert fashion, he puts this freaking 18-paragraph soliloquy on Twitter, where by the end of it, he's making it all about himself. I mean, in like professional victim Robert Griffin over here, making it all about himself. Shaquille O'Neal did not like that very much. Shaquille O'Neal has a podcast, I assume, of his own. Too many athletes have podcasts now. It's hard to keep up.
Agreed.
He says that if Robert does not stop talking about Angel Reese, he is going to, quote, punch him in the effing face. I would believe Shaq on that. We have seen him do that to people that are way larger than Robert Griffin. And then, if you thought that wasn't enough, Mark Henry jumped into the chat, the WWE professional wrestler, world's strongest man. He jumps into the chat siding with Shaq. Can you imagine a 2-on-1 handicap with Mark Henry and Shaq against Robert Griffin III and whoever edits his podcast? It would be a bloodbath. This weekend, I was at a wrestling show.
Nice.
I was at an AEW show, which is where Mark Henry used to work. The main event of that show, Max, was a Texas death match in which the winner legitimately hung the other guy and made him tap out. It was very, very bloody. That blood would be nothing compared to a fight between Robert Griffin III, Shaq, and Mark Henry.
If I'm RG3 and I hear both of those guys,
I'm turning off the Twitter.
I'm turning off. I'm booking a flight out of the country and not coming back until like, when does football season start?
He doesn't
September 5th.
Doesn't have to come back.
That's true.
Doesn't have to
apply for citizenship, asylum elsewhere.
Have you ever come across like a great RG3 take?
No,
like just football related. Like take all the
No.
other stuff out of here. Have you come across like a great football take from Bobby Three Sticks?
Never have. I don't think I ever will.
Have not. If someone has a great football take from him, you can send it to me at the Dead and Day. I just would like to point out it's gotten very quiet since Shaq entered the chat. He's quick for a response. When it's him and Stephen A. They'll get on a podcast together. I don't know that he wants those problems with Shaquille O'Neal. Final thing here before we get to the biggest storyline of the day for Washington. Deebo Samuel weighs 220 pounds. This is from his personal trainer, Nick Hill, who told this to John Comp, the John Kine Report. There's a lot of people that are going to immediately point and say, see, he's fat. Nick Hale also said that Deebo Samuel has 8% body fat. And we saw a picture of Deebo Samuel from one of his workouts earlier this week. I'm good on all the fat talk. I was never with the fat talk. You know, that Hogs Haven had posted that they called him Deebo Lacey. Was never with that. Saw Deebo at minicamp, didn't look fat to me. Hopefully this quells that conversation down a little bit, because 8% body fat is borderline elite in the world. You're not going to get much lower than that, especially if you are over 200 pounds. It'd be insane to do so. I feel really good about Deebo Samuel as we enter the 2025 season. All right, when we get back, the biggest news of the day for the Commanders, a big new signing that'll help them out on defense. This is the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app. I don't get a kick from Champagne, but I definitely get a kick from Washington signing Von Miller. They did that last night. It's the Kevin Sheehan show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin at the Denton Day on the Twitter. I loved waking up to the news. I don't love waking up at 4:30. I do like waking up at 4:30 when I find out that my team signed a new defensive end, and the particular defensive end that I wanted them to sign. You know, I'm looking right now, Max, at the available free agents, and it's a bunch of old dudes. Duh. I mean, if you were young, you would have been signed at this point. By now, it's a bunch of old dudes that are available, and of the old dudes, Von Miller was the guy that I wanted. And my expectations for him are, I feel like, at a very fair spot. I do not think that Von Miller is going to come in and be the exact same guy that won Super Bowl MVP when he was with Denver and was not just the MVP of the Super Bowl, but legitimately one of the best players in the NFL point blank period. Pound for pound, one of the best players in football that took a defense and an offense that had a quarterback with a broken freaking neck to a Super Bowl and then beat the MVP. I know that he is not going to be that in 2025. But I do think Von Miller can come in and provide a specialty that was severely lacking from Washington's defense last year, which is a pass rushing specialty. He played 332 snaps in both the regular season and playoffs, 332 snaps, and only once last year in Buffalo did he play over 30 snaps in a game. My expectation is that that number gets a little bit lower in Washington, but you have Von Miller for about 15 to, we'll say, 22 snaps per game. You get him 15 to 22 snaps, and you get a couple TFLs, and you get a couple of sacks. And you say, hey, at 36 years old on a one-year deal, you made plays. And you can get really, really creative with Von Miller and Frankie Louvu and Dorrance Armstrong, who they seemingly are still very much happy with. Dorrance Armstrong played really well in the postseason, and he came up with some very, very clutch plays, some strip sacks, forced fumbles on Jared Goff. I saw that in quarterback. Let me tell you what, I love that final episode of Quarterback. I watched that this week. Jared Goff's wife was crying. I was not. I was celebrating that one. That was a great time.
Bro, I was Millie rocking. It was a whole, it was a scene in my basement.
Congratulations to them. They just had a child. I'm happy for them. I actually did end up liking Jared Goff in quarterback. I was celebrating that final episode. It was my favorite one of the season. Anyway, they like Dorrance Armstrong. They like Frankie Louvu. You can get really creative by potentially putting three guys out there, three edge guys, and then you're crafting matchups. That's what I'm going to be really interested to see with Joe Witt Jr. It felt like last season he was operating with a hand tied behind his back, and that was because defensively on the back end, they weren't exceptionally strong. On the front end, they weren't exceptionally strong. In fact, outside of like Quan Martin, Bobby Wagner, and Frankie Louvu, there was not a whole lot of strength on that defense last year. I think they have really made it a key point to get better in various different areas than they were last year. And that allows Joe Witt to be what we want him to, which is a guy that coaches hard, fast, and has a defense that forces turnovers. Because I know I need some damn turnovers this year on this defense. I want that turnover margin to be sky high. Like we're talking double digits throughout the course of the season, because I know offensively, at least the quarterback is not going to turn the football over. I can't speak to fumbles that cost the team against Philadelphia in the championship game. I can't speak to fumbles, but I know when it comes to interceptions, the quarterback ain't throwing many. So if you can create a bunch of interceptions and your quarterback ain't throwing a bunch of interceptions, you're going to have multiple 10 plus wins easy. So I'm excited about that element of it. As far as Von Miller himself goes, I need 4 good games. Give me 4 good games for Von Miller, and this one-year deal for a 36-year-old is going to be considered a success. What does a good game mean? I need sacks. I need some turnovers, but I need them at clutch points in the game. I love a first quarter strip sack. It's great. It kind of sets the tone for a game. But if you give me the option of a first quarter strip sack or a fourth quarter strip sack, Give me the fourth quarter. That completely could put a spear, unintended, a spear into the opposition and their offense, and it gets the ball back to Jane Daniels. If you give Jane Daniels, and he showcased this last season, if you give him the football with like 7 minutes left, you are not touching the football again. He is that good. Only a few quarterbacks have that capability. He is one of the few that if you give that football to him with 7 minutes left, you might not see it again. It's a very, very rare thing to have. So I need 4 good games from Von Miller. If he has between 4.5 to 8.5 sacks in 2025, this is a good deal. If he gets more than 8.5 sacks in 2025, I will see all of you at the lottery, whether you live in Maryland, Virginia. I don't even know if DC does Powerball, but if they do start doing Powerball, I'll see at the DC lottery. If Von Miller has more than 8.5 sacks in 2025 on somewhere around 250 to 300 snaps, we are all going to hopefully be rich because someone is cashing out on that lottery. But I'm excited to see what Von Miller is going to do, and I'm excited for the wisdom that he is going to impart on some of the younger players on this roster that you have high hopes for. Javonte Jean-Baptiste is a guy that is almost becoming like, I don't want to say a Colts fan favorite, but I think if you tell someone outside of this fan base about Javonte Jean-Baptiste, they will go to ESPN or Pro Football Focus or Pro Football Reference, rather, wherever you get your stats. Maybe you're a sicko when you get it from like Fox Sports. I don't think there are many people that go to Fox Sports for stats, but maybe there are. Wherever you get your stats, you would pull up Javonte Jean-Baptiste stats, and you'd be like, why are you raving about a guy that had like 1 sack? They don't understand it. In this fan base, we understand it. There's something there that you hope is going to mature and develop over the course of his next, certainly this year, and then maybe some years to come. Von Miller could be really, really crucial in the development of a guy like a Javonte Jean-Baptiste. He can also be crucial in the development of a lot of the younger players on the offensive line. We had a commenter on our YouTube page. We are on YouTube each and every day here on the Kevin Sheehan Show from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Subscribe to the Team 980 if you are not. We're also live on Twitter as well, so you can watch us on there. But we had a commenter say in the chat that he could also help Josh Connerly. And that's a fantastic point. Connerly, a young rookie that you have really high hopes for playing right tackle this year, and then potentially taking over and being a franchise left tackle when Laramie Tunsil decides to hang it up or goes the separate ways, what have you. But you have this guy that you drafted late in the first round with the hopes that he is going to be around for a while. And you can throw Brandon Coleman into that conversation as well, because they love and think very highly of Brandon Coleman. You now have your young offensive lineman being able to work and pick the brain of one of the best pass rushers to ever play the game. That is such an incredible luxury to have. The moves that you see a lot of these guys doing across the NFL, well, Von Miller knows all those moves. And he can help the offensive line work out how to defend those moves. I mean, look across just this particular division. Philadelphia's defensive front is frightening. New York's defensive front is frightening. Dallas's defensive front, mostly because of Parsons, but they are frightening. If you get to go up against Von Miller every single day in practice and pick his brain, he almost becomes like this pseudo player coach. It will be unique because Von Miller has by far the best defensive player on the roster. I mean, Bobby Wagner is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but prime Von Miller, I would say, was a little bit above prime Bobby Wagner. Being able to have that depth of knowledge on the defense is going to be a massive, massive win. This is one of the reasons why I think they made this trade, and they didn't have to do it in March. You didn't have to do it in April. You have the luxury of Von Miller being okay at 36 years old to wait. I can't imagine we'll see him a ton in training camp, Max. You'll see him a little bit, but I can't imagine you'll see him a ton. He's 36. I mean, they barely had Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner out there last year. They had him out there, but there was a lot of rest days for those veterans. I imagine that Von Miller will have a fair share, a very healthy amount of rest days in training camp, but just him constantly being out there is a very, very, very nice luxury to have. So I am very happy that Adam Peters made this move. He was the guy I wanted. I know a lot of people pointed to Jadeveon Clowney. I like Jadeveon Clowney. I'm good. I think Von Miller we talk about intangibles. Von Miller brings some intangibles that Jadeveon Clowney does not. Some of these other guys, like a Preston Smith, I'm good. Matthew Judon, respectfully, King, I'm good. I wanted Von Miller, and they went out and got Von Miller. So I'm pretty happy about waking up to news like that. I do not like 24. Don't like that. He posted a photo on Twitter. He kind of announced this himself, I think.
He did. He kept it under wraps. He did a very good job.
That's a couple different players that have done that. Sauce Gardner announced his own contract extension. I'm pretty sure Jalen Ramsey announced his trade and then contract extension to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Von Miller has joined the class of players reporting their own news. I'm not a reporter. I don't mind that. Take their jobs. Some of them, what do I care? 24 on a pass rusher, though, it's kind of weird.
And don't forget, we still got some time till numbers are finalized at the beginning of the season. 24 is almost egregious.
But so, like, what's a good pass rushing number? Like, there's no 59 on the roster right now, but there's every other 50 number. In fact, there's 2 51s. So someone's going to get got there. 48 is taken. 48 looks kind of weird. He wore 40 in Buffalo and Los Angeles. 40 is currently occupied by Tyler Owens. Like, I don't know if Von Miller is tied to 40 the way that, like, Jaden Daniels was tied to number 5 when he came out of college. I don't know that he's that up on the number, because he did wear 50. He wore 58 in Denver, which was his first team. 58 is currently worn by Jordan McGee, so you can't wear that one unless you want to pay for it. But I don't know how much he loves those numbers. What about 9? Is 9 an okay pass rushing number? Like, if he just goes single digits? 9
I like that
weird.
less
than 24.
Well, then neither are good.
Neither are great. I mean, 24 is like a defensive back and a running back number.
Put him in 44.
Can't do that one.
No, you can't.
Can't do that one.
No, you can't do that one. They're jammed up, man. It's
they are
tough to find a
really
good
jammed
number
up.
on this team.
Like, all of the 90s are taken up. All right, maybe 24 is what it is. Now, you only have 53 members of the roster, so eventually, like, one of those numbers should open up. But 24 it is, I guess. I do like that he posted that picture in the burgundy, though. Not the red, not the cranberry, not the Arizona Cardinals. He posted that in real burgundy. He did have a Captain C on, though. I don't know if that was his marketing team or his AI. Maybe take the Captain C off, like slow the roll a little bit there. But I like that he posted in the burgundy. So Von Miller is a member of the Washington Commanders. They tighten up at least a little bit of the pass rushing issue that they have, because they have a pass rushing issue. It's been arguably the worst thing about this offseason is that they have not taken the steps to address the long-term pass rushing issue. They don't have a game record. They still don't. Von Miller is not a game record, but at the very least, you have a guy that you could plug and play in various different spots, clutch spots during the course of the year, and then maybe hope Javonte Jean-Baptiste to go from more of this cult hero in our fan base to a guy that actually makes plays on a big-time level. We'll wrap the show up coming up next. Get you set for Chris Russell, who takes over at 1 p.m. here on the Team 980. It is the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dent Day sitting in for Kevin on a Thursday. Don't go anywhere. We're back.
All right, let you all be the first to help me welcome Von Miller to Washington. Last night, he announced via his Instagram caption, DC, what's good? The 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, and 2-time Super Bowl champion has signed a 1-year deal in Washington to chase another Super Bowl ring, and Washington gets their much-needed pass rusher. Bobby Wagner has been named to the NFL Top 100. He ranks 74th overall as voted on by the players. He's heading into year 14, and Bobby ranks 10th all-time in terms of NFL tackles. The Chargers, they placed Najee Harris on the non-football injury list following a superficial eye injury he suffered during a 4th of July fireworks incident. And last night, the Wizards, they fall to the Utah Jazz in the Summer League 86-76. The Wiz Kids, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, Will Riley, and Trey Johnson all did not play due to a coach's decision. A.J. Johnson led the team in points for the second game in a row. He had 25. And MLB All-Star Ketel Marte, his home was robbed during the All-Star break. This is likely in connection with a slew of athletes having their homes robbed while traveling for games, including Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Items that were stolen include a litany of personal items as well as jewelry. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live from 10 to 1 and Craig Hoffman from 4 to 7. Don't forget, to like the streams and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
Is the Kevin Sheehan Show. Dent Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. One thing we didn't mention in Denton's daily news, out there on the West Coast, Brad Beal found himself a new home. Competing for a championship. Wink, wink. He
Kind of,
joined,
sort of.
I mean, competing for a championship maybe in 2K.
Yeah.
He joined the Clippers. The big three of James Harden, Bradley Beal, and Kawhi Leonard.
The unction.
I guess that's an unction. When I think of unction, I think of like fun.
I guess.
That does not seem like a fun group.
Like the football team. Football team's fun unction.
The football team's a fun unction. They got to the championship game last year. There was I don't know that we'll see a lot of championship games. Like, who is your guy in a game 7? Kawhi, if he's healthy.
I was going to say, Kawhi's got to be healthy, but
it hasn't been healthy.
Kawhi.
If Kawhi's not healthy, you don't want James Harden. Brad
It's a
is
playoff
not
game.
exactly a Game 7 kind of player. Hasn't seen a lot of those because he played here for such a long time. It's going to be fascinating trying to explain to new basketball fans what it was like being a Wizards fan in a post-John Wall during Bradley Beal era.
Soul-sucking.
Because Beal was scoring like crazy. Like, was that as bad as when Andre Blatch was option number 1 here? Because the Andre Blatch years were tough. Where you're between the Gilbert and you blew the whole thing up. Karan's gone. Antoine is with like the Cavs, which I hated because I didn't like the Cavs because of LeBron stuff. Gilbert is bringing guns into locker room. Javaris Crittenton is gone. You're like, hey, let's trade for Rashard Lewis. And you're like, hey, let's not do that. Like it was a tough time. I actually thought Andre Blatch was going to be something. He was something. He was not the something I thought he was going to be, but he was like a whole lot of something. But those Brad years, man, they were. It was nice seeing him score 60 and then the team lose by like 9. You're like, damn it, we gonna do this every single night? And the answer was yes. So Brad Beal found a new option. The Phoenix Suns are paying him nearly $100 million to not play for them. Every single day.
Life.
Every single day, I pray that God blesses me with that punishment.
Go away. Here's 40 mil.
I get down on my knees and I pray, Lord, I was like, let our bosses pay me millions of dollars to not come to work. Give me that punishment, and I will gladly take it.
CK, get to work.
Won't he do it? I trust in the Lord, but I'm waiting. I am patiently waiting. You sent me this that I think we need to touch on. This according to Adam Schefter.
It did just break.
Yeah, Rashee Rice is going to serve 5 years probation. This is the Chiefs wide receiver. And 30 days of jail time that can be served during those 5 years, stemming from his role in a multi-car crash in Dallas in the 2024 offseason. Now that the judge has ruled, the NFL can expedite its disciplinary process, and Rice is likely to receive a multi-game suspension. So this is an event that took place last offseason prior to the Chiefs' season last year where they made a Super Bowl run. The NFL for a little point in time had a car issue, mostly because you had guys in college who were getting cars and speeding in cars, and then they would bring that philosophy to the NFL. We know what happened with Jalen Carter.
Mainly Athens, Georgia.
And just SEC country because Jamin Davis came here and he did that.
Never forget it.
That's why I'm now blocked by Jamin Davis on Twitter because he was speeding on Loudoun County Parkway going like a $130 in a 45 zone where there were happened to be a bunch of middle schools around. We know the Henry Ruggs situation in Vegas. You had the Rashee Rice situation. In fact, the Chiefs went through this like 4-week process where all of their receivers were getting caught up for the wrong reasons. Like Xavier Worthy was having his car stolen. Rashee Rice was having this situation. What I am curious of, because I don't think we've seen a ton of instances of this, do those 30 days in jail have to be consecutive? Or can you sprinkle them?
So
I would think it has to be consecutive.
You would think, but also from my understanding is that from what you said is that the 30 days can be served anytime in the 5-year period. So, and I know that like a lot of times guys can serve sentences like you go in on Friday and then you come out Sunday and boom, that's 2 days off your, or you come out Monday and boom, that's 2 days off your sentence.
Can regular people do that, or is that just
people
an NFL play?
No, people do that. I know one of my brother's coworkers at one point had to, or that's how he was serving his sentence. But he was also military service. So they may have given him a little bit more leeway on that. So I have no idea.
We have a guy, Eric in the chat, Eric in Norfolk, saying you can serve on weekends.
All right.
I don't think he can necessarily. His weekend's probably busy.
Got to work Sunday.
You got to work on Sunday. Probably some install on Saturday, or like walkthrough on Saturday, install on Wednesday. So that would make it very, very tough. I would assume if he gets suspended from let's just say it's a 4-game suspension.
Might as well knock it out.
You might as well knock it out then, right? Just like take the 30 days.
You're not doing anything else in jail. You might as well look at your playbook.
I mean, yeah, you can't go to the facility. You can't. They got places to work out in most facilities that are,
they have
you could
gyms.
be sentenced in. They got gyms, free weights. Just be smart in there.
Don't hit anybody. Don't get hit. Just keep your head on a swivel. That's all.
Yeah, so that'll be. I am curious to see how that is going to work out because I do remember Jamin Davis faced something similar because the whole Jamin Davis thing was like kind of hilarious in the sense, not that the event happened. It was very scary. You shouldn't be going a $140 or a $120, whatever it was in a 40, especially on like a road like Loudoun County Parkway. If you've ever driven on Loudoun County Parkway, which is the street where the facility is off of, so if you've been at the facility, you've probably driven on it in some capacity. It's not exactly like a freeway. You know, it's not just 495 straight. There's some curves in there. There's a bunch of lights. Very, very dangerous to be going that kind of fast. But remember Ron, like, I don't know if he got in front of a judge and said this, but there was some statement that was put out that was like, well, Jamin and Ron had a talk. As if that was like, oh, yep, no problems here. Like the head football coach had a talk with a guy that was going 100 miles an hour on a 45. Everything is good, guys. Like, had they not had a talk before then, or did they just have the talk when he started having these issues? So maybe Rashid Rice hasn't had the talk with Andy Reid yet. Maybe he hasn't had the talk.
Hey, man, Andy Reid's got to have that talk with his own family.
Oof.
Hey, man.
I mean, we'll skate through here. Major League Baseball comes back tomorrow. I am excited to see how the Nats are going to respond off of the All-Star break, see what James Wood is going to do in the second half of the season. So we will spend a little bit of time tomorrow talking some baseball. I did not get the chance to say this, obviously, because I was not on air yesterday. The swing off in the All-Star game was a thing of beauty.
Sick.
But it was a thing of beauty because we had no idea what was happening. Like, I came to this conclusion. I didn't know a swing off existed. I didn't know what the rules were, but it just started. We were in for the ride, and I was like, well, this is fun. Let's do it. It's very nice to see when something that I have no idea, like what is it going to be, ends up being something cool. I think more leagues should start to do that. So instead of like the NBA making this whole big announcement about their in-season tournament, just say we're going to do an in-season tournament, start it, and see what happens. Like, I didn't know. They just said, hey, eventually we'll do a swing off if we have a tie. And we're like, we're not going to have a tie in the All-Star game, especially after one team was up 6-0. And then you end up having a tie, and it just bombs away at that point. It was an absolute thing of beauty. I think more leagues should start to do things, slide things under the radar that accidentally become cool as hell. Because this was a full-blown accident from Rob Manfred. I don't think he's the smartest individual in the world. I feel that way about most commissioners, admittedly. But this was like a smart move to sneak that under, and then it ended up working beautifully. I don't think it should be done in postseason games. I wouldn't mind seeing a swing off in a regular season game. I'd be very open to it in, like, if you take the months of April, May, and June and say this is swing off season, I'd be open to seeing some swing offs. Not late in the season, too much at stake. You start to get to the postseason, but I'm down for the swing off in the early stages of the baseball season. All right, that's going to do it for me today. I am back tomorrow and on Monday, so we'll continue talking about the Commanders. Hopefully we get some news or at least a direction, a hint of something going on positively with the Terry McLaurin contract. Hopefully we also see a signing of one Trey Amos. He's expected to report tomorrow when rookies report to training camp. So we'll have you covered on that one. Ben Stanek will be with us tomorrow as well. Chris Russell is up next on the Team 980.